Chapter 348. Smoke and dust rose. A 2.5 meter tall, black-furred zombie crawled out of the grave. Roar! Roar! The roar shook the surroundings. The white ghost hid behind the tall black zombie and said with a sinister smile, "Let me tell you, this is the king of black zombie, one of the twin ghosts of black and white. Although he doesn't talk much, he's very strong." It turned out that this grave was not the white ghost's grave, but the king of black zombie's corpse. No wonder the yin energy was so thick. Bai Xiaowen also realized that the white ghost was up to no good when it asked him to pick the ghost wormwood personally. The ghost wormwood grew on the king of black zombie's hibernation ground. If Bai Xiaowen went there, it would be tantamount to suicide. Bai Xiaowen used his insight and shared the king of black zombie's information with Li Shui. King of Black Zombie, Boss Level 7, Race, Demon/Corpse Devil Race, Attributes, STR-75, DEX-19, STR-53, WIL-14, Skill 1, Iron Skin. The King of Black Zombie's body has been baptized by the yin energy essence of the underground veins. It has a body of iron and copper skin. The physical damage it receives is greatly reduced. The damage reduction ratio varies from 50% to 90%. Skill 2, Earth-Shaking Jump. The King of Black Zombie violently shakes the ground and jumps to a target area. After landing, there will be a shockwave. The nearest enemy will be stunned and the nearby enemies will have their movement speed reduced. Skill 3, Corpse Poison Cloud. The King of Black Zombie will release corpse poison in a large area during battle. It will cause continuous poison damage to enemies in the area. This effect can be stacked. Skill 4, Blood Drain. The King of Black Zombie captures a target, drains the target's blood essence and heals himself. If the target is successfully captured, they will not be able to move or use displacement skills. Skill 5, Zombie Domination LV1, increases the King of Black Zombie's HP by an additional 300 points. Reduces the duration of abnormal statuses and control effects by 30%. This time, the insight skill was much more effective. It was able to detect all the skills of this level 7 boss. 2 high-ranking leaders. Moreover, it was the kind of demon leader that was rather difficult to deal with. This was the difficulty of an A-rank elite mission. The difficulty of the missions was only a rough assessment. It was related to the way the mission was completed and whether or not there were friendly spirit world characters participating. Generally speaking, the difficulty of an A-rank elite mission was between B-rank and C-rank hero missions. It was even slightly higher than S-rank normal missions. Leave the white ghost to me. Shui, you deal with the King of Black Zombie. You just have to be careful to avoid the corpse poison cloud. The summon creatures will help you block the other skills. Remember to attack from behind, Bai Xiaowen said in the party channel. Li Shui nodded. Together with the Wrath Claw, Fatty, Shadow Assassin, and Vampire Keats, they charged at the King of Black Zombie. After 30 seconds of mind control, Bai Xiaowen regained control of the skeletal sword shieldsman that had just been mind controlled by the white ghost. He ordered it to pick up its iron sword and join the battle against the King of Black Zombie. After Bai Xiaowen and the undead warlock dealt with the white ghost, the bullets fired by the Desert Eagle were physical attacks. They couldn't hit the incorporeal white ghost at all. Bai Xiaowen put away his gun and used his fire combat skills to help the undead warlock deal with the white ghost. On the other side, although the King of Black Zombie was very strong, his slow speed was his weakness. Most of the attacks were dodged. The few attacks that were difficult to dodge were eaten by Fatty, the Wrath Claw, and the other summon creatures. Li Shui attacked from behind. He found that the King of Black Zombie's spine was no longer a weakness. It also had a 50% damage reduction. However, this was the weakest part of the spine. Li Shui could only endure the damage reduction attacks. -7, -8, and other damage numbers kept popping up from the King of Black Zombie's body. In any case, the King of Black Zombie was being held back. The white ghoul's HP dropped rapidly after it was hit by 2 lightning strike Taoist spells and the dark brush flame combo. She saw the King of Black Zombie being held back and roared angrily. The King of Black Zombie's eyes glowed red. With a muffled roar, his body trembled. Clouds of light brown poisonous fog quickly spread out from his body. Li Shi hurriedly ran out of the range of the zombie poison cloud. The other summoned creatures also made way for him. Because they had dodged in time, they only had one layer of zombie poison on them. They would lose 10 HP every 3 seconds. However, the duration of this, corpse poison, effect was actually 30 seconds. A layer of corpse poison meant 100 damage to his HP. What was more terrifying was that the zombie poison's effects could be stacked. If the effects were stacked 3 times and there was no antidote, they would be poisoned to death. The King of Black Zombie's skill was very domineering. With this skill, the King of Black Zombie dispersed the surrounding attackers. Its back bent slightly, and its body shot into the sky like a cannonball. It pounced toward the battle behind by Xiaowen and the White Ghost. Combat skill, Earthquake Jump. Having detected this skill, Bai Xiaowen naturally had a way to deal with it. When the King of Black Zombie was charging up, he and the Undead Devil Arcane Master had already split up. The moment the King of Black Zombie landed, Bai Xiaowen directly sent a skeleton swordsman over. The target closest to the King of Black Zombie would be stunned. All targets within range would have their speed reduced. That was the mechanism of earth-shaking jump. The skeleton swordsman was stunned without any suspense. However, Bai Xiaowen and the Undead Devil Arcane Master were able to escape the stun effect. When the Black Zombie King landed on the ground, it was as if the entire Ghost Reef had been shaken. With a swipe of its claw, the Black Zombie King grabbed the neck of the stunned skeleton sword shield warrior. With a cracking sound, the Black Zombie King's neck was crushed, and the flame of soul extinguished. Its skull fell to the ground and rolled. 75 points of strength was no joke. If one was hit, they would either die or be crippled. However, while the King of Black Zombie and the White Ghost were fighting with Bai Xiaowen and the others, the Ming army's bodyguards who had come with them did not stay idle. They hurriedly sneaked over to the King of Black Zombie's cracked grave to pick the ghost wormwood. Some of them also released Zhang Ting and the others who were tied up. "Spiritual Master, we have the ghost wormwood. We can go now," a Ming army's bodyguard whispered. At this moment, the White Ghost was hiding behind the King of Black Zombie. Bai Xiaowen's dark whisk flames were all blocked by the King of Black Zombie. Bai Xiaowen could only take out his Desert Eagle again and steadily shoot at the King of Black Zombie. At the same time, he said, "You guys go first. I have to eliminate these 2 demons." A group of Ming army's bodyguards showed reverence. They bowed to Bai Xiaowen and quietly retreated. However, before they could leave, black lines slithered toward them like spiritual snakes. They were the seaweed that looked like a woman's long hair. Some of the Ming army's bodyguards came into contact with the seaweed. Their ankles were immediately wrapped tightly and they could not move at all. What was more terrifying was that the seaweed would slowly extend upward and wrap around the bodyguards' necks. Then, it would tighten and tighten, trying to strangle them to death. The remaining bodyguards shouted and quickly cut the seaweed with their swords. They saved the bodyguards who were rushing at the front and retreated awkwardly. Other than the large wasteland of the Ghost Reef main island that had no seaweed, the path around the Ghost Reef and the only way back to the small boat was covered with the black seaweed. The Ming army's bodyguards could not move forward at all. Bai Xiaowen understood that this seaweed should be the punishment for completing the mission by trickery. If an awakened who was proficient in stealth took advantage of the King of Black Zombie and the White Ghost's absence to steal the ghost wormwood, wouldn't they be able to complete this A-rank elite mission without having to fight at all and obtain a handsome reward? Of course, the rules of the spiritual realm would not allow such trickery to happen. There were 2 ways to solve this problem. The first was to kill the White Ghost and leave openly. The second was to use some special items, such as a temporary flying device, to avoid the entanglement of the seaweed and escape back to the beach. Of course, the value of a flying device was needless to say. At the awakened stage, it was quite rare. The White Ghost, who was controlling all of this, smiled proudly and said, "All of you stay. You are all my blood food. No one can leave. The king of black zombie growled, blood food, me. The white ghost shrugged and said, fine, I'll give you half. Aya. With a thunderous boom, the necromancer raised his hand and struck the white ghost with lightning again. The white ghost's HP fell by another 100 points. Fatty Suture shot out his iron chain and stabbed the king of black zombie's leg. He exerted force and pulled. The king of black zombie reached out and grabbed the iron chain. His enormous strength resisted Fatty's pulling force. With Fatty's strength, of course, it was impossible for him to pull the 75 points of strength king of black zombie. However, Bai Xiaowen did the opposite. He let Fatty use the enormous pulling force to fly into the air and crash into the king of black zombie. While the king of black zombie's vision was blocked by Fatty, Bai Xiaowen bent down and rushed past the king of black zombie. After rushing towards the white ghost, Bai Xiaowen spun his legs and soared into the sky like a propeller. His hands were wrapped in crimson flames and wrapped around the white ghost. Together, they flew into the air. Grass Sect Ancient Martial Art, Ghost Burn. The white ghost's HP fell below 300 points. It was shocked and angry. After landing, it opened its mouth and the air around it rippled violently. Bai Xiaowen, who was closest to the white ghost, felt a buzzing sound in his ears and a sharp pain in his head. He was severely slowed. The transparent air ripples spread rapidly. Fatty Suture, the Wrath Claw, everything within a 25-meter radius of the white ghost was affected by its shriek. Apart from Bai Xiaowen and the necromancer, everyone else was stunned. Spirit Realm Rule Notification, the white ghost's skill, 10,000 Ghost Shriek, has been activated. Targets with less than 30 spirit will be stunned. Targets with less than 30 spirit will be severely slowed. After the white ghost roared, its body became a little weak. It shook its body and its originally illusory body became solid. Slender black nails extended from the tips of its two hands and scratched at Bai Xiaowen. Spirit Realm Rule Notification, the white ghost's illusory form has ended. It has transformed into solid form. The white ghost has lost the skills, Mind Control, and 10,000 Ghost Shriek. The white ghost has gained the skills, Ghost Claw, and Heart-Stealing Strike. After transforming into its solid form, the white ghost smiled sinisterly. It grabbed Bai Xiaowen's shoulder with one hand, and a bloody light suddenly appeared on its other hand. It slowly clawed at Bai Xiaowen's heart. The king of black zombie also took advantage of the fact that everyone was stunned by the 10,000 Ghost Shriek, to use Corpse Poison Cloud again. At the same time, it threw a punch. Its main target was Li Shi. Bai Xiaowen was severely slowed, and Li Shi was stunned. Both of them were exposed to the boss attacks. Li Shi hurriedly used Green Lotus Seed, Mature, to try and dispel the boss's stun, but it failed. Her base priority was too low to dispel the 10,000 Ghost Shriek's stun. At the critical moment, the necromancer raised his hand and used Yellow Sky. A gentle golden light sprinkled down, and Li Shi's body became lighter. She was no longer stunned, and her HP was also slightly restored. She hurriedly retreated, dodging the Dark Zombie King's fist. At the same time, she ran out of the range of the Corpse Poison Cloud. She stuffed a bun into her mouth and drank a bottle of Advanced HP Potion, finally recovering her HP. The white ghost's Heart-Stealing Strike also failed to hit Bai Xiaowen. A skeleton sword-wielding shield appeared in front of Bai Xiaowen and took the hit in place of Bai Xiaowen. This skill was very terrifying. The white ghost would dig out the victim's heart and crush it, triggering the judgment of instant death. It was important to note that instant death and instant death were two different concepts. Instant death meant that the target's HP was instantly reduced to 0. However, there were some skills or items that could be used to avoid instant death, such as Soul Link, Near-Death Instinct, Scorching Defender, and so on. By the way, Bai Xiaowen's Life Sharing was also one of the skills that could be used to avoid instant death. As for instant death, it was a skill that ignored the target's HP and directly killed the target. If Bai Xiaowen was hit and passed the judgment of instant death, it would not trigger life-sharing, and it would die immediately. The Wrath Claw, which had life-sharing with Bai Xiaowen, would not lose any HP. Of course, as Bai Xiaowen's summoned creature, the Wrath Claw would also die, but the cause of death had nothing to do with life-sharing. Instant death skills were indeed very powerful, but they were not invincible. First of all, the activation requirements were quite strict, and the target had to pass the judgment of instant death before it would take effect. For example, the White Ghost's heart-stealing strike was only effective against certain humanoid creatures, beasts, and dragons. If the target did not rely on the heart to survive, or did not even have a heart, then the skill would not take effect. For example, the skeletal shield bearer that Bai Xiaowen used to block the skill received the heart-stealing strike, but it looked at the White Ghost with a confused expression. The White Ghost's claws dug into the skeletal shield bearer's sternum, but nothing came out. There were also some skills or items that could be used to counter the instant death effect, such as Seed of Resurrection, Soul Furnace, and so on. Bai Xiaowen realized that the White Ghost had finally transformed from an incorporeal form into a physical form. In other words, physical attacks were effective against it. Chapter 349. Bai Xiaowen calmed down when he punched out with Baron Bite. Sure enough, in order to kill Bai Xiaowen, the White Ghost had transformed into its physical form. It could now be hit by physical attacks. After Bai Xiaowen's punch landed, he followed up with a series of attacks. He stepped forward and elbowed the White Ghost, causing it to float. Then, he followed up with a vicious elbow strike. The White Ghost screamed in agony. This set of fire-based combat skills dealt a combination of physical and magical damage, fire. Although it was a high-level boss, its constitution was only 30 points. Its defense was far inferior to the King of Black Zombies. The set of skills took away more than 100 HP, leaving it with less than 100 HP. However, the White Ghost's counterattack was swift and fierce. It reached out with its phantom claws and clasped Bai Xiaowen's arms. Its small, cherry-like mouth instantly widened into a bloody maw full of fangs. It bit down on Bai Xiaowen's neck. Bai Xiaowen only had time to tilt his head. The bite landed on Bai Xiaowen's shoulder. It was truly excruciating. The King of Black Zombies saw that the White Ghost was in danger. He roared angrily and pounced ferociously. Earthquake Leap. Fortunately, the newly summoned Skeleton Shield Warrior was still by Bai Xiaowen's side. Bai Xiaowen endured the pain and accurately determined where the King of Black Zombies' attack would land. He ordered the Skeleton Shield Warrior to take a small step forward. Boom! The Skeleton Shield Warrior was stunned by the shockwave. Bai Xiaowen's speed was greatly reduced. The King of Black Zombies' withered claws grabbed at Bai Xiaowen. This grab made Bai Xiaowen feel as if there was a strong suction force on the King of Black Zombies' claws. No matter how hard Bai Xiaowen tried to retreat, his body was slowly sucked in as if he was walking in space. Notification from the spiritual realm's rules, King of Black Zombies' skill, Blood Drain, River Crab, activated. Bai Xiaowen had already summoned all the skeleton sword shield bearers that were reserved for blocking skills. Now, they could no longer perform fixed-point airdrops. Bai Xiaowen did not panic. Instead, he activated the shield attached to his necklace, Judge's Resolve, which could absorb 72 points of damage. In addition, Bai Xiaowen and the Wrath Claw shared their lives, so it was basically impossible for King of Black Zombie to kill him in one shot. But at this time, there was a burst of flapping sounds. Vampire Keats used his bat transformation ability to fly over, and appeared in front of King of Black Zombie, condensing into a solid body. The King of Black Zombie clawed at Vampire Keats's chest, and then bit down at Vampire Keats's neck artery with his mouth full of sharp fangs. The King of Black Zombie bit down, but his face full of black hair twisted, and he forcefully pushed Keats away. Although the expression on his face could not be seen clearly, the disdain on his face was very clear. Bai Xiaowen suddenly realized that Vampire Keats was different from humans. The blood in his body was all dead blood. For King of Black Zombie, human blood was delicious, but Keats's blood was probably not much different from shit. Vampire Kits was a bit dumbfounded, and then said angrily, "You're looking down on humans too much." "Oh, no, you're looking down on undead. This is the first time I've seen a zombie as picky as you." Bai Xiaowen relaxed, and after grabbing the white ghost, he threw him down like a sack. Kusanagi Ryu Palea Martial Arts, Instant Back Throw. After using the Kusanagi sword skill many times, Bai Xiaowen's control over the Kusanagi's blood had become more and more proficient, and he had even grasped the basics of these close-range throws. His strength was as high as 22 points, much higher than the white ghost's, so the throw passed without a doubt. A bolt of lightning struck down from the sky, and the white ghost once again screamed, its HP dropping rapidly. Fortunately, it had already turned into a solid state, so it would not take any additional damage from magic. However, the 10 points of true damage from the lightning strike spell was not reduced in the slightest. The white ghost only had a dozen or so points of HP left, and Bai Xiaowen took out the Desert Eagle, killing it in one shot. It was as if countless female ghosts were wailing, but it only lasted for a moment, and then the white ghost's ghostly body turned into countless specks of light, exploding and disappearing. Only a large golden treasure chest was left behind. Bai Xiaowen sighed in relief. After killing the white ghost, who was good at crowd control, the remaining King of Black Zombie was much easier to deal with. Although the King of Black Zombie's strength was extremely high and his physical defense was insane, his slow movement was his biggest weakness. He needed the support of the white ghost's crowd control skills to maximize his combat strength. Now that the white ghost was dead, the King of Black Zombie was at most a competent punching bag. In addition, the King of Black Zombies, Copper Skin, Iron Bones, did not reduce the damage taken by the Necromancer's lightning strike, but it also dealt additional true damage. Because of the difference in spirit, the true damage was as high as 15 points. The Necromancer's damage output immediately took the top spot, until Li Shi used Devil Fire Dance to overtake it. As for the King of Black Zombie's other skills, Earthquake Jump required charging, and Corpse Poison Cloud could be dodged in advance. As for the last skill, Blood Drain, all Li Shi had to do was let Kits charge forward. In the end, the King of Black Zombie's huge body fell to the ground with a plop. The scarlet light in his eyes slowly dissipated. Bai Xiaowen put away the golden treasure chests dropped by the two high-level leaders and returned to the small boat with Zhang Ting and the other Ming soldiers. Without the white ghost's control, the seaweed would not bother them anymore. Zhang Ting looked at Bai Xiaowen and felt a little ashamed. He bowed and repeatedly thanked Bai Xiaowen for saving his life. He also admitted his mistake for acting on his own accord. Bai Xiaowen did not mind. In a sense, Zhang Ting and the other 10 people were Bai Xiaowen's vanguard. Since he could not stop them, Bai Xiaowen did not stop them. After all, the mission to deliver the letter on the Fog Island did not require them to fight. It did not matter whether Zhang Ting and the other 10 people were there or not. After returning to the large boat, Zhang Ting and the other surviving Ming soldiers went to rest while the other soldiers set sail. Bai Xiaowen and Li Shi hid in one of the cabins and took stock of their spoils after the battle. They had gained a lot this time because the monsters on the Ghost Reef, regardless of whether they were zombies or vengeful spirits, were all elite monsters. The growth rate of the Black Soul Stone had increased greatly. After strengthening the Skeleton Mage, the remaining 101 points of Soul Essence had increased accordingly. Currently, he had 196 points of Soul Essence. He only needed 4 more points to activate the option of Summon Evil Ghost. Okay, it's time to open the treasure chests. Bai Xiaowen laughed and took out 2 golden treasure chests. The first to be opened was the White Ghost's treasure chest, and 16 gold cards appeared in a flash of golden light. Chapter 350. After killing the white ghouls, Bai Xiaowen had done it all by himself. His final score was level A, and he had 3 chances to draw the lottery. Bai Xiaowen and Li Shi took turns to click on the card. You've obtained a special item, Impure Essence Core. The essence core was about the size of a fist. It was deathly white, with wisps of black mist rising from it. When Bai Xiaowen touched the essence core, he once again felt the slight heat of Absalon's blood essence stone, incomplete, in the storage space. The impure essence core also had a description. It was entrenched with an undying will of injustice that could only be cleansed with the blood of pirates. Bai Xiaowen put away the impure essence core. At this time, Li Shi drew an item. Illusion Charm, a plus great item. Hold this charm and aim it at a target creature for more than 10 seconds. The target's image will be stored. When the charm is used again, the stored image will be projected, forming a lifelike illusion. The illusion cannot be attacked. The duration of the illusion is related to the user's spirit attribute. This item looks a little useless, but it might have a miraculous effect if used well. It's not bad to give it an A+ rating. Bai Xiaowen commented. This charm was also handed to Bai Xiaowen to keep in the party storage space. Once again, Bai Xiaowen and Li Shi could use the items in the party storage space. Usually, the party storage space was bound to Captain Bai Xiaowen. If Li Shi wanted to use the items in the party storage space, he had to be within 5 meters of Bai Xiaowen. In the last draw of the golden card, an item was finally drawn. Bai Xiaowen and Li Shi looked at each other, smiled, and high-fived each other in celebration. Ring of Nothingness, bound after pickup, equipment grade, hero, gold, equipment position, finger, equipment requirements, none, attribute, spirit +3, additional skill, vanish, the user's body vanishes. Increases evasion rate of physical attacks or skills with priority, 7, and below by 99%, but increases magic damage received by 99%. Lasts for 5 seconds. Effect can be cancelled in advance. Cooldown, 24 hours. Durability description, this exquisitely designed ring is imbued with the grief of the dead. A ring that increases spirit and even has a skill attached to it. It's a piece of top-tier gold equipment. Li Shi laughed. Xiaowen, you're so lucky. Congratulations. Bai Xiaowen smiled and said, I should be the one congratulating you. This ring should be yours. But this boosts your spirit. The 3 additional points of spirit are secondary. The true value of this ring lies in its ability to turn invisible, Bai Xiaowen said. For 5 seconds, it can ignore almost all physical attacks. What kind of concept was this? It was simply an invincible ring. Furthermore, it doesn't have any negative effects. It's especially suitable for you. As for Bai Xiaowen, she already had 3 rings. One of them was a blue ring with +2 spirit. Although it could be replaced, it would be a waste. Li Shi had yet to wear a ring. Bai Xiaowen's survivability was already comparable to that of an MT. Hence, an extra ring would not make much difference. However, it would be a different story if it was given to Li Shi, who was a fragile DPS. Besides, the spirit attribute was not useless to Li Shi. She needed to expend her spirit to cast skills. With an additional 3 points of spirit, Li Shi's spirit could reach more than 10 points. This was also a form of supplement to her endurance in battle. After Li Shi understood the ring, she did not decline and accepted it. However, she did not put it on herself. Instead, she extended her slender finger to Bai Xiaowen. Here, I want you to put it on for me. When Li Shi said this, her face was a little red. Bai Xiaowen was a little touched. She took the ring of nothingness and gently put it on Li Shi's finger. A happy smile flashed across Li Shi's small face. The 2 of them were now in a small party. All the equipment that was bound when picked up would be bound to the party until one of them wore it. If they were in a temporary party, it would not work. If Bai Xiaowen touched the ring of nothingness first, she would be bound to the party. Of course, Li Shi did not cause any damage to the white ghost. Hence, she did not contribute to the kill. If it were not for the fact that they were in a permanent party, she would not have been able to equip the ring. Then, they opened the King of Black Zombie's treasure chest. The King of Black Zombie was killed by Bai Xiaowen and Li Shi together. Hence, its combat rating was lowered to level B. There were 2 chances to draw. Of course, the 7,000 psionic energy points of the treasure chest were not reduced at all. After 2 draws, the first one was a special item, the corrupted heart. Bai Xiaowen was surprised to find that the heart resonated with the Absalon's bloodstone, incomplete. In the description of the corrupted heart, there was also a prerequisite that it needed to be washed with the blood of a pirate. The difference was that this heart also specifically stated that it needed the blood of a real Japanese pirate. Bai Xiaowen could not help but guess. Could it be that those ghosts, including the white ghost, were killed by ordinary pirates, including fake Japanese pirates, while the king of Black Zombie was killed by a real Japanese pirate, which was a real Japanese Ronin pirate? The restriction of this prerequisite is a little harsh. It's best to complete it in the Jiajing dimension. After leaving the Jiajing dimension, there might not be any real Japanese in other dimensions, Bai Xiaowen said. As for the essence core left behind by the white ghost and the soul essence dropped by the ghosts, they could be washed with the blood of a pirate. There was no mention of real Japanese, so it was a little more lenient. Even if it was not completed in the Jiajing dimension, it would be the same in other dimensions to find pirates to kill. The other item dropped by the king of Black Zombie was also a special item. Strong tendon. This tendon contains amazing elasticity. You can attach it to your leg equipment and give it the ability to jump. Your existing jumping ability will be strengthened. This tendon was undoubtedly for Bai Xiaowen to use. His gold leg equipment, the White Eagle's attack, had the ability to jump and strengthen. Bai Xiaowen attached the tendon. With a flash of light, the glide skill on the White Eagle's attack had changed. When the glide skill was activated, the height of the next jump would be doubled, and the kick damage would be increased by 50%. With the new glide skill, the height of the next jump would be increased to 300%. The kick damage would be doubled. Chapter 351. As the ship docked, Bai Xiaowen and Li Changshu were escorted by a group of guards. Soon, they saw the unconscious Udayo and the Chuanjian Taoist priest, Sun Xianqing, meditating beside him. Someone had already reported to Governor Hu Zongxian. Sun Xianqing opened his eyes and glanced at Bai Xiaowen. Young Taoist, your aura is heavy. It seems like the trip to Ghost Reef wasn't easy. Bai Xiaowen smiled and took out a few pale white flowers. He handed them to Sun Xianqing. Fortunately, I didn't disappoint you. Sun Xianqing nodded and took the ghost wormwood. Taoist priest, in order to obtain this Ghost Reef, I killed many fiendish demons. Among them were 2 powerful fiendish demon leaders. Bai Xiaowen blinked. It's said that killing fiendish demons gives merit. Is that true? Sun Xianqing narrowed his eyes slightly. Of course there's merit. But wouldn't I be robbing you of your merit? That's not right. Although I'm a Taoist cultivator, I'm a secular disciple. If I don't cultivate immortality, what's the point of having merit? Why don't I sell it to you? Bai Xiaowen said. Sun Xianqing understood what Bai Xiaowen meant and chuckled. I'm a man of no wealth. How can I buy your merit? Besides, it's not up to me to buy it. If you want to sell it to the owner. Bai Xiaowen curled his lips. Li Shi asked through the team channel, what riddles are you playing with this Taoist priest? Nothing much. I just want to get some extra rewards. This old Taoist priest is so stingy. He pushed me to Zongxian and Udayo. Forget it, I can only ask those 2 for the reward for the A-rank elite mission. In the spiritual world, especially in the ancient Huaxia plane that worshipped the way of gentlemen, it was necessary to be thick-skinned. Anyway, it was not a loss if he did not get the reward. If he got it, it would be a gain. Even if this Chuanjian Taoist, Sun Xianqing, gave him a reward, Bai Xiaowen would still look for Hu Zongxian and Udayo to ask for a reward. After all, it was better to catch as many sheep as possible. In the 3 Kingdoms plane, Bai Xiaowen had implemented this principle. If he hadn't been so thick-skinned, how could Guan Yu have taught him and Li Shi twice? Of course, being thick-skinned was under the premise that it didn't affect the interpersonal relationships. It had to be controlled well. If the favorable impression points were to be greatly reduced because of temporary benefits, then the losses would outweigh the gains. Sun Xianqing then said, I'm going to cast a spell to expel the evil spirit for General Yu. Little fellow Taoist Bai, stand guard for me. Bai Xiaowen gladly agreed. This included Li Shui. She secretly curled her lips and left Yu Daio's quiet room with a group of bodyguards who were eagerly looking around. Taoist son, let's begin. All right. Little fellow Taoist, please lift General Yu's quilt and help him change his clothes. Sun Xianqing held the ghost wormwood in his hands and looked straight ahead. Bai Xiaowen was speechless. So the job of being a guard sounded high and mighty, but in reality, it was just a menial job. Bai Xiaowen lifted Yu Daio's quilt and removed Yu Daio's short shirt. On Yu Daio's muscular chest, Bai Xiaowen could see a dark red wound. It was swollen to the height of 2 fingers and the size of a bowl. It was hard and hot to the touch. Sun Xianqing sighed. Japanese Dharma artifacts blindly pursue fierceness, but in reality, they are greedy and advance rashly. They are at a disadvantage. Sun Xianqing picked up a ghost wormwood and handed it to Bai Xiaowen. Little fellow Taoist, hold this ghost wormwood and stand beside General Yu. Don't sway in the slightest. Bai Xiaowen nodded. Sun Xianqing took a deep breath. He clenched his 5 fingers and madly jabbed Yu Daio's body. As he jabbed Yu Daio's chest like raindrops, the wound on Yu Daio's chest swelled even more. Faint crimson fog rose in spirals, like a volcano that was about to erupt. However, this crimson fog seemed to be attracted and rose in spirals. At the same time, the ghost wormwood also emitted white fog. It intersected with the crimson fog and condensed into steam. Bai Xiaowen heard a boom in his ears and an illusion appeared before his eyes. In a daze, he saw a dark red sharp sword slashing toward his face. He subconsciously wanted to dodge, but he remembered Sun Xuanqing's instructions and stopped abruptly. He stood still. With a boom, the dark red sharp sword struck Bai Xiaowen. Bai Xiaowen's 44 points of mental strength came into play. He was not affected at all and the illusion dissipated. Sun Xianqing nodded approvingly. Little fellow Taoist, your foundation is not shallow. He grabbed Yu Daio's shoulder with one hand and lifted him up forcefully. The unconscious Yu Daio was forced to sit up from lying on his back. Sun Xianqing took a step forward and arrived behind Yu Daio. Then, he unleashed another round of finger techniques on Yu Daio's back like raindrops. Puff! Yu Daio opened his mouth and spat out a dark red blood clot. The lump on his chest shot out wisps of fire force. They were like agile snakes and were slowly absorbed by the ghost wormwood. Seeing that the ghost wormwood's originally pale white flower had turned crimson, Sun Xianqing said in a low voice, change the medicine. Bai Xiaowen was prepared. He grabbed a second ghost wormwood and replaced it. Sun Xianqing said, the fire poison is strong and needs to be neutralized with an item of extreme. Otherwise, even if General Yu survives, I'm afraid his martial arts will be crippled. His explanation was naturally for Bai Xiaowen to hear. At this moment, the fire force in his chest erupted and spurted out blood. The fierce fire force evaporated the blood and turned it into a crimson mist. The ghost wormwood neutralized it. Yu Daio suddenly opened his eyes and roared, it hurts so much. He subconsciously punched out. The target of this punch was Bai Xiaowen. Bai Xiaowen cursed under his breath. He could only summon a skeleton sword shield hand to take the blow. Clang! The skeleton sword shield hand turned into broken bones and flew out. Yu Daio's fist did not weaken and smashed into Bai Xiaowen's chest. Bai Xiaowen felt as if he had been hit by a train. If he took the opportunity to retreat, he would not suffer too much damage. However, Sun Xianqing had said that the ghost wormwood could not be shaken at all. Bai Xiaowen had no choice but to take the remaining force of the punch. With a buzzing sound, Bai Xiaowen felt his ears ring. He almost vomited blood. Fortunately, he had life-sharing. Although he suffered more than 80 points of damage, he only received 40 to 50 points of damage. He could still take it. Although Udayo's chest was in severe pain, the original lump had already subsided. After the initial punch, he looked around in confusion. Sun Xianqing stopped and smiled. General you've been asleep for many days. You're finally awake. Where am I? Udayo asked a very cliché question. You're in bed. Bai Xiaowen rubbed his aching chest and said with a pout. The bodyguards who had been waiting outside heard Udayo's voice and squeezed in. Lord! Lord! The room was full of bodyguards kneeling on the ground. Udayo looked around and finally came to his senses. How long have I been unconscious? A familiar voice came from outside the door. Shifu, you've been unconscious for more than half a month. If it weren't for Jiren Sun's help, I'm afraid you wouldn't have woken up. The door opened and the governor of Zhejiang, Hu Zongxian, strode in. Behind him was Su Wei. Hu Zongxian and Su Wei had arrived when Sun Xianqing was exorcising the evil spirit. However, they were worried that they would disturb Sun Xianqing, so they waited outside the door. When Udayo saw that his superior had come to greet him, he quickly turned around and wanted to get out of bed. Hu Zongxian hurriedly stopped him. Shifu's injuries haven't healed yet. There's no need to stand on ceremony. I'm not properly dressed. I've made a fool of myself in front of you, Udayo said. On the other side, Sun Xianqing had already called for a doctor to bandage Udayo's wounds. Then, Udayo put on a tight-fitting shirt. Finally, the people in the room didn't have to look at his muscular chest. Zhang Ting and the others stepped forward and helped Udayo put on his clothes. At the same time, they briefly explained to Udayo that after he fell unconscious, Hu Zongxian invited the Chuanjian Daoist, Sun Xianqing, to treat him. It just so happened that Jinren Bai Xiaowen had returned from killing the Japanese and accepted the task of collecting herbs. Then, Sun Xianqing exorcised the evil spirit. Udayo sat on the bed and clasped his hands. Thank you, Jinren Sun, for saving my life. Sun Xianqing waved his hand and said, There's no need to thank me. Just thank your supervisor. Oh, and Bai Xiaowen. The punch you gave me when you just woke up really gave me a fright. Fortunately, fellow Daoist Bai has a strong foundation. Even after taking your punch, he didn't move at all and didn't break the exorcism ritual. Udayo finally remembered the scene when he woke up. With an apologetic expression, he apologized to Bai Xiaowen. Of course, Bai Xiaowen said that he didn't mind. The rules of the spiritual realm prompted him. The favorability of Udayo, the general of the anti-Japanese army, towards you has increased. Current favorability level, friend. Bai Xiaowen secretly felt that the punch was worth it. Judging from the strength of the punch, Udayo's strength had surpassed the King of Black Zombie and the White Ghost. He was probably a rare leader-level master. It wasn't easy to gain the favorability of such a master. Everyone chatted for a while. Hu Zongxian said, Jinren, you deserve the most credit for Shifu waking up. I will submit a memorial to His Majesty to report your meritorious service. His tone was rather polite to Sun Xianqing. Sun Xianqing nodded. Thank you, Mr. Governor. Hu Zongxian continued, Bai Xiaowen, you went to the pirate's lair to pick the spiritual herbs. Your contribution is not small either. If you were in my army, I would definitely report this to the imperial court and give you a promotion. Unfortunately, you don't want to do that. I can only thank you with gold and silver. The rules of the spiritual realm prompted him. Rank A elite side mission, herb hunt has been completed. Your reputation in the anti-Japanese army has increased. Current level, respected. You've received 3,000 merit points. You've received 10 refined gold ingots and 50 snow-white silver ingots. The rewards of this rank A elite side mission were really generous. The gold and silver ingots could be taken out of the spiritual realm. It was a completely different concept compared to the cargo Bai Xiaowen seized. Of course, the reason why Hu Zongxian gave Bai Xiaowen so readily was also related to the cargo he handed over. Bai Xiaowen said, Sir, this is the reply letter. Please take a look. Hu Zongxian took Wang Zuiqiao's reply letter and looked around at everyone in the room. Yu Dayo didn't notice, so Su Wei could only say, "General Yu, the governor is going to discuss a confidential matter. Please ask your servants to leave." Yu Dayo understood and hurriedly asked Zhang Ting and the others to leave. Sun Xianqing said, "Then I'll take my leave too." "Shinran, why are you in such a hurry to leave? I didn't mean to hide this military matter from you. I'll need your help later." Hu Zongxian hurriedly asked him to stay. Sun Xianqing shook his head. "I'm just a monk. How can I get involved in military matters? I was invited here to treat the patient. Now that General Yu has woken up and has a doctor to treat him, he'll recover in a few days. There's no need for me to stay." After a pause, Sun Xianqing looked at Bai Xiaowen and said, "Little friend, I'm going to the capital to pray for rain. I wonder if you'd like to go with me?" Hearing this, everyone in the room was a little surprised. Bai Xiaowen said with a smile, "Shinran, you're really powerful. You can summon the wind and rain. Isn't that like an immortal? I don't have this ability, so I won't get involved." Sun Xianqing said with a smile, "What do you mean by summoning the wind and rain? If it's a small storm, I can still do it. But His Majesty wants to relieve the drought in Shandong and Henan. This is the operation of the brilliant heavenly way. Except for those legendary powerful people who have the true secrets of the immortal way, who else has this ability? Then why are you still going to pray for rain?" Bai Xiaowen said, "What if it doesn't work and you're punished by His Majesty?" Sun Xianqing said with a smile, "Although I don't know how to pray for rain, I know how to look at the qi and observe the weather. I can roughly predict when it will rain. As long as I build an altar and pray for rain at that time, won't I be the one to pray for rain?" "Brilliant, brilliant." Bai Xiaowen was impressed. As for Sun Xianqing saying the key points in front of Su Wei, Hu Zongxian, and the others, it was not strange. Sun Xianqing only needed the emperor to believe him. It didn't matter if the others believed him or not. Besides, Hu Zongxian would not expose him for no reason. The current emperor, Jiajing Emperor, believed in Taoism. What was the use of exposing him? Sun Xianqing himself had Taoist magic. If he could make artificial rain in a small area, would the emperor believe him? If he believed Sun Xianqing, then Hu Zongxian would be in trouble. Therefore, a smart person like Governor Hu would never expose him. On the contrary, he would praise Sun Xuanqing's contribution to fighting against the Japanese in the memorial. After all, he had a personal relationship with Sun Xianqing. If Sun Xianqing was favored by the emperor, he would have another way. "It seems like you don't want to go with me." Sun Xianqing shook his head. Bai Xiaowen felt a little regretful. "Enlightened master, I came to help Governor Hu because of righteous indignation. As long as the Japanese are not treated unfairly, I will not be able to get over this hurdle in my heart. I hope you can forgive me." How could he not feel regretful? It was obvious that Sun Xuanqing's clue could be dug deeper. However, if the main mission was not completed, everything would be in vain. Bai Xiaowen could only reluctantly refuse. Sun Xianqing nodded and said, "As a cultivator, the most taboo thing is to be stubborn. Since you have this ambition, then do your best." Hu Zongxian sent Sun Xianqing to the door and sent him a carriage. The soldiers surrounded him. However, Sun Xianqing refused all of them. He only took 20 taels of medicine and rode a mule to the capital alone. Chapter 352. After sending Sun Xianqing off, Hu Zongxian, Su Wei, and Bai Xiaowen returned to Yu Dayo's room to discuss the plan to resist the Japanese. After reading Wang Zuiqiao's letter, Hu Zongxian frowned and said, "Wang Zuiqiao wants me to report to His Majesty and ask for a pardon for Su Hai." Bai Xiaowen replied, "She came to see me in person and said the same thing. However, I've already replied to her according to what I discussed with Mr. Su in advance." Su Wei nodded and said, "If you ask for a pardon, Governor will have a lot of responsibility. If Su Hai rebels and treats the pardon as a joke, where will the great Ming's face go? At that time, Governor will definitely be heavily punished and it's not impossible for you to be imprisoned. So, our reply is that we can ask for a pardon, but Su Hai must show his sincerity and capture pockmarked Yi and Qindong as evidence of his repentance. Yu Daiyou understood and nodded heavily. Mr. Su's words are reasonable. Bai Xiaowen said, Wang Zuiqiao said that she will persuade Su Hai to take action during the meeting on Golden Gate Island 3 days later. Counting the time, there are still 2 days left. If Su Hai succeeds in killing the 2 pirate leaders, he will definitely offer their heads to Governor. Su Wei smiled and said, Daoist Bai, we still don't know if Wang Zuiqiao can persuade Su Hai to fight with the other 2 pirate groups. Moreover, Su Hai may not be able to fight against them. So, we can't just sit there quietly. We still need to take the next step and take the initiative to deal with the Japanese. Hu Zongxian nodded. Wen Zhang's words are deeply in my heart. Li Shi looked at Bai Xiaowen and said in the team channel, what do they mean? What should we do? Bai Xiaowen smiled and replied in the team channel, Su Wei's IQ really didn't disappoint me. We don't need to do anything. We just need to wait for the mission. After Hu Zongxian asked for a plan, the room was silent. Su Wei looked around and his gaze landed on Bai Xiaowen's face. He then smiled and said, Supervisor, my suggestion is to send a team of elites to infiltrate Golden Gate Island to spy on the inside information of the island. After that, we'll send a large army to ambush around the island. Once the situation is favorable, the elites on the island will immediately set off the fire arrows as a signal. The Imperial Army will surround Jinmen and assist Su Hai's troops. They will attack from both inside and outside and wipe out Qindong and Yimatzi in one fell swoop. Hu Zongxian laughed and said, it is indeed a good plan. However, which general should he send to lead the troops into the island? If our army's famous generals go, they will be easily recognized by the Woka pirates. Only those unfamiliar faces will be able to do the job. Pausing for a moment, Hu Zongxian continued, in addition, Su Hai's mind is hard to fathom. We can't let him know about the hidden soldiers to avoid new problems. Therefore, this time, there is no way to get Su Hai to help cover for us. Su Wei, Governor, have you forgotten? Taoist Master Bai Xiao is a newcomer and doesn't have much of a reputation among the Woka pirates. He is the perfect candidate to be a spy. Hu Zongxian clapped his hands and said, not bad, not bad. The 2 of them were singing the same tune. They both wanted Bai Xiaowen to be the spy. Li Shi's heart skipped a beat as he realized that this was a mission. He then looked at Bai Xiaowen. Bai Xiaowen was of course willing. The reason why he didn't take the initiative to volunteer was because he wanted to wait for Hu Zongxian and Su Wei to ask him. Once the mission was completed, he would be able to ask for more rewards. Unexpectedly, Yu Daiyou raised an objection. Governor, this isn't appropriate. Although the Woka pirates aren't as well organized as the Imperial Army, they have their own set of rules. Some of the bigger Woka pirates even have identity badges to prevent spies from sneaking in. Although Taoist Master Bai Xiao is an unfamiliar face, before entering the island, if we encounter any patrol boats, we will have to check your identity badges. Bai Xiaowen sighed to himself. Yu Daiyou was indeed an honest person. That punch wasn't in vain. Looking at Hu Zongxian and Su Wei, he had given them money and sent them letters. Even now, their favorability towards him hadn't reached the level of friend. This was the difference between them. Scholars were too scheming. However, Bai Xiaowen naturally wouldn't let Yu Daiyou fail this mission. He immediately said, General Yu, don't worry. I've been to the Woka Pirates headquarters and asked for a few identity badges. It shouldn't be a problem for me to deal with the patrols. If this mission is successful, the Woka Pirates in Fujian will be quelled. How can I cherish my life for such a big mission? Governor, Mr. Su, I'm willing to go. Hu Zongxian praised, Taoist Master Bai Xiao is truly a young hero. You have guts. A notification appeared from the spiritual realm. Hero Side Mission, Battle of the Golden Gate, has begun. Mission objective, eliminate the 2 biggest Woka pirates, pockmarked Yi and Qindong. Mission difficulty, C. Mission time limit, 72 hours. Mission reward, Unknown, there was also a description at the end. Note, to eliminate a power, the following objectives must be achieved. 1. All the leaders of the other party must be eliminated. This includes but is not limited to killing, capturing, and surrendering. 2. 60% of the members of the other party below the leader rank, excluding the leader, must be eliminated. This includes but is not limited to killing, capturing, and surrendering. Special prompt: as long as the above objectives are achieved, the other party's forces will be eliminated. It doesn't matter if you do it personally or not. Bai Xiaowen happily accepted the mission. Li Shi asked through the team channel, Xiaowen, this mission, why is it only C rank? The rating of a hero mission is too low. It's not contradictory. To eliminate two big forces at once is a large-scale battle. As the vanguard of the infiltration, of course we deserve a hero mission. However, this mission is also relatively easy to complete because the mission specifically states that the elimination of the other party's forces does not require the awakened to complete it personally. Simply put, we're hugging their thighs. After analyzing the situation, Bai Xiaowen said, if we're purely hugging their thighs to win, the benefits we can get from this mission will be very low. However, if we don't hug their thighs and carry them ourselves, we can expect to get a lot of benefits. I'm not talking about the rewards. Li Shi nodded. Hu Zongxian and Su Wei went to mobilize the troops. Before leaving, they told Yu Dayo to have a good rest. A fierce battle was imminent, and Yu Dayo didn't have much time to recover. However, Bai Xiaowen was stopped by Yu Dayo and asked to stay. Bai Xiaowen, thank you for your help this time, Yu Dayo said. I'm ashamed that I punched you when I woke up. I don't know how to repay you for saving my life. Please accept this gold and silver. Zhang Ting and the other soldiers came over and presented a plate of gold and silver ingots to Bai Xiaowen. Bai Xiaowen refused. General Yu, why do you say that? I respect heroes like you the most. It's my duty to find medicine for you. Even if the zombie is fierce, or the evil ghost is evil, I won't hesitate to go through water and tread on fire. It's not a big deal to take a punch from you. At most, I'll break a few ribs. I'll be fine after a few days of rest. Chapter 353. We didn't save General Yu for gold and silver. Talking about money will hurt our relationship, Bai Xiaowen said. Yu Dayo said with some shame, I didn't think it through. He then ordered Zhang Ting and the others to put away the 2 plates of gold and silver. Then he said, you saved my life, so I must repay you. If you have any requests, please tell me. Bai Xiaowen said, we admire General Yu's martial arts. We hope that General Yu can give us some advice. Yu Dayo suddenly understood and said with a smile, I see. However, my martial arts style is not suitable for Taoist Master Bai, but it is very suitable for your junior sister Miss Li. If Miss Li doesn't mind, I have a sword manual for you. Maybe you can get some inspiration from it. In history, Yu Dayo's personal strength was very strong. In Yu Dayo's poems sent to the Shaolin Temple's monk Zong Qing, it was recorded that when this famous general was transferred from the north to the south, he passed by Hunan's Shaolin Temple and saw the Shaolin monks practicing various skills. He said that the monk's staff technique was wrong and said a lot of things. This was obviously a challenge. In the end, the monks of the Shaolin Temple were convinced and wanted to ask Yu Dayo for advice. Yu Dayo even said with some arrogance, you still need to train for a few more years. Original sentence, Yu said, this must be accumulated over time, and then you will obtain it. Later, the Shaolin abbot sent monks to learn from Yu Dayo for 3 years. It was said that Yu Dayo also had 100 monk soldiers under his command. Li Shi took the sword manual and chose to read it. You have read the martial arts experience of General Yu Dayo of the Jiajing Plain world. You have received an advanced specialty, polearm weapon. Current level, advanced level 1. Your advanced specialty, single-handed sword arts permanently increased by 1 level. Current level, advanced level 6. Your advanced specialty, fighting permanently increased by 1 level. Current level, advanced level 4. Li Shi was surprised. He didn't expect the sword manual given by Udayo to be so powerful. The long-handled weapon specialty was just a bonus. What was really useful was the one-handed swordsmanship and grappling specialty. There were a total of 10 levels of advanced specialties. After the 4th or 5th level, it was very difficult to improve. It required long-term accumulation and practice. Therefore, it was very common for many intermediate and advanced hunters to have combat specialties lower than their profession level. Bai Xiaowen and Li Shi frequently ventured into the spirit world. With Bai Xiaowen's super brain that was good at digging and completing missions, their leveling speed was faster than the average awakened. It was inevitable that their combat skills would not be able to keep up with their levels. Bai Xiaowen had the ability of telepathy. He could learn from the memory fragments of the summoned creatures and quickly improve his combat skills. There was no need to worry too much. However, if Li Shi wanted to improve his combat skills, he would have to rely on his talent and hard work. Udayo's reward, or thank you gift, was indeed very valuable. Although Li Shi's attributes hadn't changed, her hidden strength had improved considerably. Of course, Bai Xiaowen was very satisfied and thanked Udayo repeatedly. Udayo waved his hand and laughed. However, the wound on his chest was affected. He took a deep breath and gritted his teeth. He cursed, "Damn Japanese. I will kill you as soon as possible." Bai Xiaowen felt that this sounded like a quest line. He asked, "My junior sister and I are very curious. With General Yu's martial arts skills, who could hurt you?" Udayo said, "That day, I entered the sea to chase down a group of Japanese pirates from the Matsura clan, that is, the real Japanese pirates. When I boarded the ship to engage in battle, in a moment of carelessness, I was stabbed by a Japanese pirate leader. I have to say that the Japanese are quite good at hiding and assassinating." After a pause, Udayo said indignantly, "Even if I was stabbed by him, I was not afraid. He exposed himself and fought me head-on. He would definitely die. However, after the pirate leader succeeded in the sneak attack, he cut his palm and activated some kind of evil magic. The red dagger in his hand glowed red at the same time. Then, I felt that my internal organs were burning and I fainted on the spot. Fortunately, my bodyguards fought to the death to save me. Otherwise, my soul would have returned to the sea." Zhang Tinglian said, "General, you are in danger. It's natural for us to fight to the death." Bai Xiaowen narrowed his eyes. He didn't get any hint about the rules of the spiritual realm, nor did he trigger any quest. It seemed that he couldn't communicate properly. "General, what kind of evil magic did that man use? What were the signs when he activated it? Can you tell me in detail?" Udayo shook his head and said, "I'm just a warrior. I don't know anything about magic, let alone the evil magic of the Japanese. As for the signs, as I said, he cut his palm and the red dagger in his hand sucked his blood. It also glowed red." The mention of the red dagger caught Bai Xiaowen's attention. His super brain quickly recalled. When Taoist Sun Xianqing was healing his wounds, he said, "Japanese magical artifacts pursue strength and fierceness. In fact, they are greedy and reckless. They are at a disadvantage. Could it be that the key lies in the Japanese magical artifact? General Yu, can you describe the red dagger in the Japanese pirate's hand in detail?" Bai Xiaowen felt that Udayo wouldn't mention this for no reason. This red dagger might be related to a quest. Of course, it was also possible that Udayo was just casually chatting and didn't trigger any quests. He didn't lose anything by asking. As a general, Udayo had a deep memory of weapons. He thought for a while and said, "That dagger is really strange. It's very different from the tachi used by the Japanese. It's short and straight. The hilt is only 1 arm's length. It doesn't have a guard. There are symmetrical notches on the blade, like sections of bamboo." Bai Xiaowen's heart skipped a beat. At this moment, he received a notification from the spiritual realm. "You got information about the mysterious dagger from Udayo's description. Special side quest, Sword Search, activated. Quest objective: find the leader of the Japanese pirates from the Matsuura family who stabbed Udayo and obtain the mysterious dagger. Quest duration: none, equivalent to the remaining time you have in the Jiajing plane. Quest difficulty: unknown. Quest reward: unknown. Bai Xiaowen chose to accept this quest. Li Shi said curiously, "I didn't get a quest notification." This was a little strange. Logically speaking, the quests were shared among the permanent team members. When Bai Xiaowen triggered the quest, Li Shi would also receive the quest, unless the two of them were in different planes of existence. Bai Xiaowen said, "This quest might require some prerequisites to trigger. Its prefix is special side quest. It's different from the other quests we've triggered before." I'll accept this quest first. Let's put it at the back of my priority list. We'll talk about it after we complete the Battle of the Golden Gate. This was a solo quest. The description didn't say that it had to be completed alone. Therefore, Li Shi could also help Bai Xiaowen complete the quest. However, after completing the quest, Li Shi wouldn't receive any rewards. It was like working for free. Chapter 354. When Udayo mentioned the Battle of Golden Gate, he said, "The two of you will be going to Golden Gate Island to hide in the Woka pirate's lair. The risk is not small." Bai Xiaowen originally wanted to recite a few lines of poetry, but after thinking about it, he decided against it. When dealing with a general like Udayo, unlike a scholar like Governor Hu, it would not be appropriate for him to drop a book. "General Yu, don't worry. If I was afraid of death, I wouldn't have come here." Udayo comforted him. "This time, you only need to observe the movements of the Woka pirates. When necessary, send out a signal, and the soldiers will naturally charge in. As long as you don't take the initiative to expose yourself and don't go against the leader of the Woka pirates, you won't die." Bai Xiaowen was speechless. How should he put it? Udayo's emotional intelligence was not very high. Why did his comforting words sound so strange? However, Udayo's emotional intelligence was not high. He was not good with words, but he was still very particular when doing things. In the end, he ordered Zhang Ting and 3 other elite soldiers to follow Bai Xiaowen and hide in Golden Gate Island to protect Bai Xiaowen's safety. Zhang Ting obeyed the order. The rules of the spirit world prompted him. Captain Zhang Ting, Yuan, and Zhou Zhan have joined your team. They will accompany you in this Battle of Golden Gate mission. The 3 people participating in the battle will be considered your subordinates. Their participation in the battle will not affect your battle rating, and it will not reduce the overall value of the loot treasure chests. The 3 people participating in the battle will not enjoy your mental strength buffs and class buffs. You can check their detailed information. Bai Xiaowen checked Zhang Ting's information. He did not need to use insight or spend any spirit energy points. Zhang Ting, Elite Level 7, Race, Humanoid/Human, Class, Dual Blade Guard, Attributes, Strength 29, Agility 42, Constitution 28, Mental Strength 14, Skill 1, Crushing Charge, charge toward an ally within 10 meters with double movement speed. The damage received by the ally will be reduced by 20% for the next 10 seconds. Skill 2, Splashing Wind Saber Technique, swing the sabers at a dazzling speed. Attack speed increased by 50%. Parry chance against physical attacks increased by 50%. Lasts for 10 seconds. Skill 3, Flying Locust Rock, throw a flying locust rock at the first target in its path, inflicting light damage and stunning for 1 second. It was worth mentioning that in addition to these 3 combat skills, as an advanced elite, Zhang Ting's HP also increased by an additional 100 points. Including vitality, his total HP was as high as 380 points. As someone who specialized in agility, this was very rare. The other 2 captains were about the same as Zhang Ting. Bai Xiaowen was very grateful to Udayo. He recalled the time when Professor Mu Yuan encouraged him to capture Kyo Kusanagi in the world of the King of Fighters and gave him 6 so-called elite biochemically modified warriors. Compared to that, they were nothing. Those elite biochemically modified warriors only had one skill. As for Zhang Ting and the other two, each of them had 3 skills. Compared to ordinary hunters, their skills were slightly stronger. They were definitely worthy of the title of senior elite. Looking at the mission requirements, Professor Mu Yuan asked Bai Xiaowen to capture the protagonist of the World of the King of Fighters, the rare leader Kyo Kuzunaji. As for Hu Zongxian, Yu Dayo and the others, they only asked them to find the right time to send a signal and leave the rest to the army to deal with. Comparing the two, Bai Xiaowen felt the warmth of spring, Fog Island Reef. It was a simple but clean wooden house. "Madam, Master is here." A maid ran over in a panic. Wang Cuiqiao, the former famous courtesan of Jiaxing and the current madam of the Woku stronghold, put down the book in her hand and stood up. She said, "Xiao Bai, how many times have I told you, there is no need to panic when you see Master?" Xiao Bai nodded repeatedly. "Ha, my fierce name in the southeast coast is enough to stop children from crying at night. It is normal for this little maid to be afraid when she sees me." Accompanied by a rough voice, a sturdy middle-aged man wearing a luxurious fur cloak walked into the wooden cabin. "Mingshan, you are back." Wang Cuiqiao greeted and took off the cloak for the big man. Su Hai, also known as Su Mingshan, was very tall and sturdy. There was a bit of a fierce and ruthless aura between his eyebrows. As soon as they met, he grabbed Wang Cuiqiao's white and tender hand and said, "Madam, you have been wronged in such a simple place." Wang Cuiqiao shook her head. Su Hai laughed and took out 2 pigeon egg-sized pearls from his arms. "These are Nanyang's special treasures, luminous pearls. It is rare that they are the same size. If sold ashore, they would be worth thousands of gold. Only such pearls are worthy of Madam." Wang Cuiqiao still shook her head. Su Hai frowned. "Madam, you don't like it?" Wang Cuiqiao sighed. "Who wouldn't love the Jingshan jade and the spirit snake pearl? It's just that I feel guilty and can't sleep in front of these treasures." Su Hai waved his hand and said, "You are going to lecture me again." Wang Cuiqiao said, "Mingshan, how would I dare to lecture you? It's just that when I think of those innocent people who died under your knife, behind my porridge, every meal, every strand, there is the blood of innocent people, I feel uneasy. Mingshan, listen to my advice, accept the amnesty." Su Hai's face became gloomy. He suddenly waved his hand, and under the maid's exclamation, the 2 luminous pearls were thrown into the waves outside the window. Amnesty? These 2 days, rumors have been spreading all over the island that I am going to accept the amnesty. They even said that I have seen the imperial court's envoy. It's really nonsense. Wang Cuiqiao lowered her eyelids. "You have seen the envoy?" "I met him on your behalf." Su Hai was slightly startled, and then he became furious. He didn't do anything to Wang Cuiqiao, but grabbed the little maid at the side. "You have never left the island. How can you contact the imperial court? Who is it? Who is helping you deliver the letter? If you don't say it, I will strangle her to death. Master, please spare my life." The little maid's face was pale with horror. Wang Cuiqiao said calmly, "This is the only person who can talk to me. If you kill her, are you going to force me to death too?" Su Hai's face calmed down, and he let go. The little maid sat on the ground, and she was so scared that she almost peed her pants. Su Hai's tone changed quickly. "Madam, You are making it very difficult for me. Every day you talk about amnesty, the brothers' hearts are about to scatter. Besides, have you forgotten that idiot Wang Wufeng? How did he die?" Wang Wufeng was known as the ship master of the 5 Peaks, the pirate giant Wang Ji. In his heyday, the pirates in the East China Sea were controlled by Wang Ji. They had to hang the flag of the ship master of the 5 Peaks before they dared to sail. That was also the most difficult time for Su Hai and other independent pirates to survive. Later, Wang Ji was moved by Hu Zongxian's sincerity and left the ship to go ashore. He was trapped by Governor Wang Banggu, and then the imperial court ordered him to be killed. After Wang Ji's death, his remaining gang also fell apart, and each of them found a new master. The pirates did not disappear, but a group of heroes rose. Chapter 355. Wang Suiqiao said, "I also know what happened to Wang Ji. He was too arrogant. At that time, the imperial court didn't send down the edict and he dared to go ashore, thinking that the imperial court wouldn't kill him. In the end, he miscalculated." Su Hai said, "This time, the one who wants to recruit Wang Ji is still Lu Zongxian. If I remember correctly, he was the one who recruited Wang Ji last time. Why, do you want to play the same trick twice? Only a fool would fall for it." Wang Suiqiao said, Governor who also answered the reason for Wang Ji's death in the letter. Trapping Wang Ji wasn't Governor Hu's intention, but Governor Wang Bengu's unscrupulous actions. In order to steal the credit, he rushed to the emperor to report Wang Ji's arrest and advocated for the death penalty. As a result, the court was in a heated discussion. The emperor didn't know the truth, so he ordered Wang Ji to be killed. Should Wang Ji be killed? In terms of crimes, even if Wang Ji had 10 heads, it wouldn't be enough. He violated the prohibition of maritime smuggling, declared himself king, burned, killed, and plundered, but in a situation at that time, from the perspective of benefits, Wang Ji shouldn't have been killed. Before Wang Ji died, he said, "If I die, I'm afraid the people of Zhujiang will suffer." Although he didn't say this to sympathize with the people, but to save his own life, this sentence was correct. After Wang Ji's death, the pirates that were originally under his control lost their leader. This group of heroes rose up together. Soon, the new Japanese revival arrived. Min and Guang became the areas where the pirates wreaked havoc. Therefore, after Wang Ji's death, some people said that if Wang Ji was left alive to control the pirates, the imperial court wouldn't need to spend a huge amount of military power to defend the southeast coast. Instead, they might get a powerful navy. There were also people who analyzed that there was a deeper reason for killing Wang Ji. The Ming Dynasty scholars and officials who were born in Jiangnan and colluded with sea smugglers and pirates did not necessarily want to see a powerful navy in the hands of the emperor. Therefore, they agreed with Wang Bengu's words and strongly requested that Wang Ji be executed. This was the essence of the fierce discussion between the court and the public. The Jiajing emperor wasn't stupid. He just believed in Taoism and didn't care about the imperial court. For a moment, he was blinded by Wang Bengu's seemingly righteous memorial, so he killed Wang Ji. After he reacted, he didn't promote Wang Bengu. In any case, the execution of Wang Ji caused the Woka pirates to become even more chaotic. This was an indisputable fact, and anyone with a discerning eye could see it. Su Hai said, "Even if it wasn't Hu Zongxian's original intention, Wang Ji is still dead. How do you know that I won't become the second Wang Ji if I accept the offer?" Wang Suiqiao said, "So when I contacted Governor Hu, I emphasized that I needed the emperor to issue a pardon edict. Mingshan, the emperor's words are like gold and jade. He won't fool ordinary people like us. As long as we have the pardon edict, we will definitely be able to return to our hometown in Jiaxing and live the rest of our lives peacefully." Su Hai sneered, "How can it be so easy to get a pardon edict from the imperial court? This Hu has always been wise to protect himself. Is he willing to take on such a big responsibility?" Wang Suiqiao thought for a moment, then took out Hu Zongxian's secret letter from her sleeve and handed it to Su Hai. Su Hai paused for a moment, then flipped through the letter. "He wants me to kill Chendongya?" Wang Suiqiao said, "Mingshan, this is a good opportunity. Now that pirate activities are frequent, Governor Hu can't bear the pressure. He should really want to recruit you and then borrow your strength to help the imperial army eliminate the other pirate forces. If the victory of the anti-Ming army was a foregone conclusion, and there were only a few small groups of pirates left in the southeast coast, then accepting the offer of amnesty would be very risky. Whether to kill or not, it was all up to the imperial court. But now, the anti-Ming army was weak, and the pirates were strong. The danger of the pirates accepting the offer of amnesty was much smaller. The imperial court still needed to keep Su Hai useful to fight the other pirates. This was Wang Zuiqiao's idea, and it couldn't be wrong. Su Hai thought of this point, and his expression eased a little. He paced back and forth in the room. Wang Zuiqiao gently persuaded him, saying that he missed his hometown, that killing was inauspicious, and that it was harmful to the harmony of heaven. In the end, Su Hai let out a long breath. Okay, I promise you. I will make my move during the assembly on Jinmen Island and kill both Chendongye and Yima in one fell swoop. Wang Zuiqiao said happily, Mingshan is willing to accept the offer of amnesty? Su Hai shook his head. Whether or not I accept the offer of amnesty is still up to me. However, I must get rid of Chendong and Yima as soon as possible. After killing them and annexing their forces, my momentum will be even greater. I won't be much worse than Wang Wufeng in the past. Su Hai said with a proud smile on his face, when the time comes, even if I accept the offer of amnesty, I will have more capital to negotiate with the imperial court. There was one more thing he didn't say. As long as he was strong enough, he could occupy a good port in Japan and control the pirates. Wouldn't that be awesome? Wang Zuiqiao finally heard the meaning of accepting the offer of amnesty from Su Hai's words. She was overjoyed. Jinmen Island was located in the southwest of Chuanzhou Prefecture. Among the numerous islands and reefs along the southeast coast, it was considered a relatively large island. According to the units of Earth, it was 150 square kilometers. On this day, the 3 pirate camps gathered on Golden Gate Island. On the surface, it was a gathering organized by the pirate Chendong, but in reality, it was to mediate the recent conflict between Yimatsi and Su Hai. The 3 camps had a total of over 100 warships and nearly 10,000 elite pirates. They were all gathered at Jinmen Bay. Most of the pirates stayed behind to guard the ships. The leaders of the camps led some of their personal attendants to hold a banquet on top of a hill. Of course, the banquets of the Woka pirates were not as elegant as the banquets of the nobles and officials. In fact, the leaders of the 3 fake Woka families were mostly from the streets. How could they understand such complicated formalities? Each of them drank large bowls of wine, ate large pieces of meat, and captured some female slaves to liven things up. It didn't matter if the dance was good or not. In short, it was enough to make it look like a proper event. After the dance, a skinny pirate leader with a long mustache stood up. He raised his bowl and said with a smile, I thank Brother Yi and Brother Su for giving me this face. We've been licking the blood off the knife's edge for a long time, right? This is a rare opportunity. I don't know when the next meeting will be. Everyone, drink to your heart's content. Whoever doesn't get drunk is not giving me, Chendong, face. Drink. As soon as the white-bearded Woka pirate, Chendong, who was the peacemaker, finished speaking, a wave of cheers sounded from behind him. Not far away, a Woka leader with a pockmarked face stood up. He was the Woka leader who was opposing Su Hai, Yima. With a hoarse voice, he said, Boss Chen's words are truly generous and bold. I, Yima, am impressed. I will drink this bowl of wine with Boss Chen. He raised his head and gulped down a bowl of strong wine. Chapter 356. Su Hai's tall and sturdy body slowly stood up. His sinister eyes swept across the audience. His rough voice was dull and powerful. Cheers. Gulp. Gulp. A bowl of wine went down his stomach. Chendong laughed and said, Good. Pausing for a moment, Chendong continued, If we're talking about the heroes I admire the most in the Southeast Sea, there are a total of 2. The first one is Shipmaster Wu. It's a pity that Wang Wufeng was lured ashore by the imperial court. Like a tiger in the plains, a dragon in the shallows. Instead, he was captured by a dog official. The second person is Brother Su. After Wang Ji's death, Brother Su's fleet grew stronger and stronger. Now, it's one of the top fleets in the Southeast Sea. Amazing, amazing. Su Hai smiled reservedly, Thank you for your praise, Brother Chen. Chendong waved his hand and said, These are words from the bottom of my heart. The reason I called for this gathering is to discuss with Brother Yi and Brother Su. Since Hu Zongxian became the governor of Zhejiang, the power of the imperial army has also grown stronger. There's General Qi Jiguang in Zhejiang and Yu Daiyou in Fujian. Both are not easy to deal with. Under such circumstances, we must abandon old grudges and unite as one. We can't give the imperial army a chance to attack us one by one. Yima snorted, Head Chen, I agree with your words. Unfortunately, some people are not as far-sighted and broad-minded as Head Chen. Next to Su Hai, the lanky second head Su Hong said in a stern voice, Pockmarked Yi, what do you mean? Yima sneered, you don't understand what I mean? A few days ago, it was you who killed my brother Chen Bao and robbed his goods, right? Su Hai said indifferently, Chuanzhou Prefecture has always been my sheep pen. I was planning to go there in a few days to get a haircut for my brothers. Since your Chinduyan dares to come under the nose of a tiger, don't blame me for being impolite. F***CKU. Is Chuanzhou Prefecture your territory? You have a big appetite. Why don't you say that Fujian's 8 prefectures and 1 prefecture are your territory? Pockmarked said angrily. Chendong also tried to persuade him, Brother Su's words are a bit too much. We don't have any capital, so whoever steals it belongs to whoever steals it. How can we divide the territories so clearly? If you do this, aren't you giving the other brothers a way out? Su Hai smiled and said, all right, then I'll give you a way out. Chendong, Pockmarked Yi, I'll be frank with you. The troops of your 2 families will be under my command and will be under my control. From now on, as long as I have a mouthful of food, I will not starve any of you brothers. What do you think? You're F***king dreaming. Yima stood up with a whoosh and angrily rebuked. Chendong became vigilant. He twirled his mustache and calmly said, Brother Su Hai, I'm afraid you're drunk. Ha 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 ha, Su Hai picked up the wine bowl and slammed it to the ground. Su Hong barked, send the signal. Chi. Chi. 2 fireworks, 1 red and 1 yellow, suddenly rose behind Su Hai's group and exploded in the air. Chaotic footsteps sounded as the pirates of Su Hai's group, who were hiding in the mountains and withered grass, rushed out shouting. There were thousands of them. Almost all of the strongest pirates under Su Hai's command were gathered here. As for Chendong and Pockmarked Yi, they only brought a few leaders who were qualified to participate in the gathering, as well as a small number of followers. In the blink of an eye, Chendong and Pockmarked Yi were surrounded. Su Hai, you don't have any morals. Pockmarked Yi was a little flustered. He stood up and angrily rebuked. Clang! Clang! Swords were unsheathed. Su Hai laughed loudly, wait until I cut off your heads. Let's see who else will say that I don't have any morals. Go! Su Hai's elite pirates clamored and shouted. They each held a spear and a short knife and rushed towards Chendong and Yima. The fierce battle began. Although Chendong and Yima's groups were smaller in number, their individual strength was very strong. The number of leaders on their side was more than Su Hai's. As soon as they came into contact, Su Hai's pirates suffered dozens of casualties. However, Su Hai's troops were indeed very powerful. Although the pirates under his command knew that the 2 in front of them were hard bones to chew, they still rushed forward without fear of death. Under the desperate assault of the pirates under Su Hai's command, Chendong and Yima's forces continued to lose members. Even the leaders of their forces were killed one after another. Amidst the chaos, one person's performance was particularly eye-catching. He held a dazzling big bow in his hand, and under the protection of several pirates, he shot out arrow after arrow. Each arrow's lethality was very strong. Moreover, this person's targets were the wounded pirates. So basically, each arrow killed one person. It was unstoppable. Su Hai chuckled and praised, such archery skills, looking at the Southeast Sea, there are only a few people who can match up to you. Second brother, I remember this young man called Zhao Xiong is the new elite under your command. Su Hong, who was standing behind him, said in a muffled voice, yes, big brother. Su Hai nodded, Chendong and Pockmarked Yi's men are almost dead. Next, it's time for us 2 brothers to take action. Su Hai and Su Hong's participation in the battle made Chendong and Yima's pirates lose their last hope. Su Hai was a strength-type leader. He had 2 steel knuckles, and his punches and kicks were powerful. Su Hong's figure was thin and long, and he was an agility-type leader. He wandered in the darkness, and the long and sharp knife in his hand was constantly reaping lives. "Monk Su, you and I are irreconcilable." Pockmark Yi roared, and his skin suddenly turned red. His body suddenly spun, and his 2 blades rolled out a whirlwind of death around him. He fiercely rushed out of the encirclement and disappeared into the depths of Golden Gate Island. He actually abandoned his subordinates and broke out of the encirclement alone. "Chase!" Su Hong shouted. Su Hai laughed. "It doesn't matter. In order to escape, Pockmark Yi has used his trump card. He will be weak for at least 2 days. I have ordered my brothers to guard the only way out of Golden Gate Island and cut off his contact with his fleet. On this island, he can't escape even if he has wings." While speaking, Su Hai's heavy fist hit Chendong under the cover of 2 elite pirates. The latter spat out blood and fell back. Gasping for breath, Chendong said, "Su Mingshan, we're all in the business of licking blood from the edge of the blade. Do you really want to kill us all?" Su Hai sneered but didn't say anything. Chendong sighed. "It seems that the rumor about you contacting the Imperial Court is true. Pockmark Yi and I will be your gift to the Imperial Court, right?" Su Hai's face changed slightly. Just as he was about to speak, he suddenly felt a pain in his back. An email piercer had pierced his back. This sneak attack caught Su Hai completely off guard. He instinctively threw a backhand punch, but it hit empty air. Su Hai turned around. In the shadows, Su Hong's figure appeared expressionlessly with a knife in his hand. This scene shocked the nearby pirates of Su Hai's group. The battle cries in the field quieted down. Su Hai took a deep breath and tightened his back muscles. He pinched the end of the email piercer and pulled it out inch by inch. "Why?" Su Hong said coldly, "Big brother, I don't want to be recruited." Su Hai smiled bitterly. "So you did it to me? When did I say that I want to be recruited?" Su Hong narrowed his eyes. "You want to take Pockmark Yi's head because of the conditions put forward by that dog surnamed who? I have read the secret letter. Don't try to quibble." "Secret letter? When did you read the secret letter?" Su Hai's heart was filled with doubts. Su Hong said, "It's the archer Zhao Xiong that you appreciated. He stole the secret letter between sister-in-law and that dog surnamed who. If it wasn't for this ironclad evidence, I really wouldn't believe it." Not far away, Zhao Zhixiong, who had been silently making a fortune, and Tai Shuisheng, who was holding a shield, were secretly cursing in their hearts. Su Hong's words undoubtedly diverted some of his hatred towards them. Su Hai's murderous eyes coldly swept over Zhao Zhixiong and Tai Shuisheng. Zhao Zhixiong whispered to Tai Shuisheng, "It seems that if we want to get enough benefits from this elite mission, we can't hide. We have to stand out and get a share of the credit in the process of killing Su Hai." Tai Shuisheng was a little nervous. He pursed his lips and nodded. "It's a pity that our reputation in the Woka camp has been stuck at respected, and we haven't completed the main mission. Logically speaking, we have helped the Su Hai group eliminate many opponents, so our reputation should have been respected long ago." Zhao Zhixiong said, "Maybe it's because we haven't killed the soldiers of the opposing camp. No matter what, killing Su Hai is the last step of the continuous mission. We have to succeed. Think about it, after killing Su Hai, we can still ask for orders to go after Pockmark Yi and Chendong. There's also Su Hong's follow-up reward and promotion. How big of a benefit is this?" After a pause, Zhao Zhixiong said, "Even if we can't complete the main mission and can't return at any time, it doesn't matter. I still have a town portal scroll that can immediately leave the spirit world in combat, so I can take risks. As for you, you have to be careful. Of course, my damage output is high, so I'll definitely be the main target. You're also a tank, so it shouldn't be a big problem." At this time, the battle between Su Hai and Su Hong had already begun. The situation was very chaotic. Although Chendong was seriously injured, he still had some strength left. He also had the protection of several loyal pirates, so he wouldn't die for a while. Su Hai's side originally had the advantage in terms of numbers. However, after Su Hong's betrayal, their side quickly split into 3 groups. The first group was the pirates loyal to Su Hai. The second group was the pirates that Su Hong had secretly contacted, including Zhao Zhixiong and Tai Shuisheng. The third group was the pirates who didn't know the situation. Among them, there were many discussions among the pirates. They didn't quite understand why Su Hai and Su Hong, who had always been close like brothers, would suddenly fight. However, as the discussions deepened, the news of Su Hai's intention to accept the amnesty spread. The balance in the hearts of the pirates gradually leaned towards Su Hong, the second leader. However, the pirates still didn't make a move. They didn't want to get involved and planned to wait for the brothers to decide the winner first. Although Su Hai had been stabbed, the strong majesty of the first leader was still deeply rooted in the hearts of the people. Therefore, although the second leader had the advantage, the pirates didn't think that the first leader would definitely lose. No matter who won or lost, the new leader needed to be a veteran pirate crew that was skilled and dared to fight. If they didn't choose a side, they could live, but the consequences of choosing the wrong side were very serious. Therefore, after the initial panic, the pirates calmed down and watched the 2 sides fight from afar. Chendong took this opportunity to quietly leave with a few of his followers. It was impossible for them to return to Golden Gate Port because there were pirates that Su Hai had arranged to guard along the way. These pirates guarding the port didn't know that there was an internal conflict between the 2 leaders. They would definitely do their best to carry out Su Hai's orders. Chendong steeled his heart and chose to hide deep inside Golden Gate Island like Yi Ma. At the same time, he sent out a signal to the fleet docked in Golden Gate Port for help. Not only Chendong, but Yi Ma also did the same. Golden Gate Port began to become chaotic. Su Hai's pirates, who were originally watching Chendong and Yi Ma, saw that the 2 groups of pirates were about to land on Golden Gate Island. Of course, they wouldn't agree and stop them. The 3 groups of pirates began a wave of chaotic battle in Golden Gate Port. Boom! Su Hai sent out a heavy punch, forcing Su Hong to retreat. Then, he bent his legs slightly and jumped up like a cannonball. He raised his fists high and punched Zhao Zhixiong. Zhao Zhixiong's breathing stagnated. Su Hai's strength was quite tyrannical. He was close to the level of a rare leader. The wind pressure from this punch made it difficult for him to dodge. As for Su Hong, as an agility-type boss, he obviously couldn't shoulder the heavy responsibility of an MT. Instead, he waved his sword and stabbed Su Hai's ribs from the side. However, Su Hai's eyes flashed with a trace of ruthlessness. He took a deep breath and ignored Su Hong's attack. His fists continued to punch Zhao Zhixiong. This didn't mean that Su Hai hated Zhao Zhixiong, but he knew that Zhao Zhixiong was a big threat. In these few days of battles with Yi Ma, Su Hai had seen Zhao Zhixiong's full power eruption and the terrifying Starlight Arrow. Of course, he had to deal with this threat first. Although Su Hong's long-term damage output was higher than Zhao Zhixiong's, who told Zhao Zhixiong to be a long-range fighter. Once Su Hong got close, the threat would be greatly reduced. Zhao Zhixiong hurriedly activated the shield ability of his equipment. Su Hai's fist smashed down and broke his shield without any hesitation. The powerful aftershock made Zhao Zhixiong's chest feel stuffy and he almost spat out blood. 2 elite pirates loyal to Su Hai rushed up and swung their swords, chopping down on Zhao Zhixiong's head. On the surface of Zhao Zhixiong's body, 4 illusory shields suddenly appeared. He had used a trump card to reduce the damage of the next 4 physical attacks by 40%. At the same time, his footsteps were like the wind as he quickly retreated. Relying on the damage reduction effect of the trump card, Zhao Zhixiong lost a few dozen HP. With the help of Ji Shuisheng, he successfully killed the 2 elite pirates. At this time, Su Hai had already been stabbed by Su Hong and was tightly entangled. I have to kill Su Hai as soon as possible and help Su Hong take control of Su Hai's remaining pirates. Then I can go after Yi Ma and Chendong to maximize the benefits. Zhao Zhixiong sighed. His fingers rested on the bowstring as he slowly pulled it back. Bright starlight condensed and a long starlight arrow took shape. Chapter 357. How long does it take for a person to react? The reaction time of an ordinary person is 0.1 seconds. In some sports, the reaction time of an athlete is slightly less than 0.15 seconds, but it is still more than 0.1 seconds. The reaction time of an awakened is even faster than that of an athlete in the Christian era. It is possible to compress the reaction time to 0.1 seconds. If Zhao Zhixiong was as alert as a frightened rabbit, he would have immediately used his return item the moment the gunshot rang out. Then, he would not have died. However, at this time, Zhao Zhixiong's mind was occupied with the bountiful rewards from killing Su Hai and chasing after Yi Ma and Chen Dong. One must know that these were the 3 Woka pirate camps. Although the Woka pirate camps were scattered and the value of killing the Woka pirate camps was not as high as killing the Woka pirate camps in other planes, the Woka pirate camps were still the Woka pirate camps. Their rewards far exceeded that of ordinary Woka pirates. This point could be seen from the loot card. When the gunshot rang out, Zhao Zhixiong's first reaction was not to leave, but to check on the situation. Although some pirates in the Jiajing Bitwall also used firearms, this gunshot seemed to be somewhat different from the sound of firearms. Then, Zhao Zhixiong's head exploded. He did not even have the chance to use his return item before being killed by Bai Xiaowen, who was disguised as a pirate. After all, when Bai Xiaowen was not in combat, his explosive strike rate would automatically accumulate. The instant he fired the shot, his explosive strike rate had already accumulated to 100%. In addition to the 250% explosive strike damage from the Desert Eagle's +4 effect, he had directly dealt 145 points of physical damage, explosive strike, to Zhao Zhixiong, who was a level 5 hero. Bai Xiaowen was also worried that Zhao Zhixiong would dodge the bullet, so he had double insurance. The shadow assassin was lurking not far away. When Zhao Zhixiong was repelled by Su Hai and then pursued by the elite pirates, the shadow assassin had already reached Zhao Zhixiong's back. Following Bai Xiaowen's gunshot, the shadow assassin stabbed Zhao Zhixiong's back with his dagger. The shadow assassin's first attack while in stealth mode would deal double the damage. This attack dealt 88 points of physical damage. With the two added together, Bai Xiaowen had dealt 233 points of damage to Zhao Zhixiong. Zhao Zhixiong was only an agility-based player. His HP was less than 300 points. After being attacked by Su Hai and the elite pirates, his HP was only slightly more than 200 points. In other words, even if Zhao Zhixiong dodged the bullet and hit a non-vital part, Zhao Zhixiong would still be unable to escape death. Moreover, Bai Xiaowen had aimed for a long time and accurately hit Zhao Zhixiong between his eyebrows. The instant kill effect took effect at the same time. Zhao Zhixiong died immediately, and a golden treasure chest appeared. After killing Zhao Zhixiong, Bai Xiaowen and Li Shi walked out of the crowd of onlookers. Beside them were Zhang Ting and the other 2 elite captains. Su Hong shouted angrily, "Who are you? I've never seen you guys before." Notification from the spiritual realm's rules: you've been interrogated by the leader of the Woka pirates, Su Hong. Please be careful. Tai Shueisheng hurriedly hid behind Su Hong and shouted, They've joined the army. They're spies for the army." Since Tai Shueisheng and Su Hong's favorability had reached a certain level, Su Hong almost immediately believed Tai Shueisheng's words. He gritted his teeth and said, "Good. Su Hai, you're so ruthless. You actually brought spies for the army." The spirit realm's rules prompt came again. Your identity has been seen through. The camouflage effect of the elite pirate waste token, Su Hai's faction, has automatically disappeared. Bai Xiaowen was already prepared when he made his move. He laughed and said, "That's right. The Imperial Army has already surrounded Golden Gate Island. They're about to cooperate with leader Su Hai to take down Chen Dong and Yi Ma's pirates. You betrayed leader Su Hai. If you don't surrender, do you want the army to treat you as the remnants of the Woka pirates and kill you? Suhai was stunned for a while, then he finally reacted. The mantis stalks the cicada, unaware of the oriole behind. I should have thought about it. Since the news of the gathering on Golden Gate Island has been leaked, it might attract the army. Suhai's heart was in turmoil, but the current situation didn't allow him to have any other thoughts. He could only follow Bai Xiaowen's words and shouted, I've decided to accept the imperial court's offer of amnesty. Brothers, why don't you join me and fight for the title of wife and children? After all, living on the sea is not as good as being a rich man on land. Su Hong shouted, don't be fooled. The imperial army's offer of amnesty is fake. They want to kill you. Think about it, who doesn't have a few lives on their hands? How can the imperial army let you go? The pirates were a little hesitant. Suhai snorted heavily, in terms of killing people, I, Suhai, have killed the most. I'm not afraid, so what are you afraid of? To tell you the truth, the imperial court's pardon edict has already been issued. Whoever wants to set things right will be able to atone for their crimes. Bai Xiaowen said, that's right. The imperial court is in need of people. Don't make a mistake. Boom. 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 At this time, the sound of cannons rang out. The Golden Gate Island under everyone's feet shook slightly. The pirates looked from afar and saw the Ming Dynasty's warships sailing over from the sea not far away. They were currently firing at the Golden Gate Island. It wasn't just the Golden Gate Island. The entire island was surrounded by Ming Dynasty's warships. The battle cries were like a turbulent tide, causing everyone's expression to change. The pirates had no way out. Su Hong and Suhai had an internal conflict. That was an internal conflict between the pirates. Whoever won wouldn't miss out on a bite of food for the pirates. However, the Ming Dynasty's army was attacking. That was an invasion. If they continued to watch and fell into the hands of the Ming Dynasty's army, they wouldn't even be able to keep their heads. I'm willing to follow the leader's offer of amnesty. I'm willing to set things right. Kill Su Hong. This was a matter of life and death. The pirates all shouted and rushed towards Su Hong with their swords raised. Leader Su, I'll leave the traitors and your family to you. Chen Dong and Yima have escaped. I'll lead people to chase after them. We can't let these two thieves escape. Suhai hurriedly said, Brother, please wait for a moment. I'll take care of this traitor and we'll go look for the thieves together. They won't be able to escape from Golden Gate Island. Suhai still had some calculations in his heart. He was also very nervous about the offer of amnesty. The pardon edict was just a lie. In this kind of uncertain situation, he naturally wanted to make friends with Bai Xiaowen. It would be easier to have an acquaintance in the military. Bai Xiaowen shook his head and resolutely bid farewell. Chapter 358. He could choose not to fight Su Hong, but Bai Xiaowen had to kill Zhao Zhixiong's teammate, Tai Shuisheng. Tai Shuisheng was just an elite-level awakened main tank. It would not take much effort for Bai Xiaowen to kill him. A group of summoned creatures approached step by step, forcing Tai Shuisheng out of the main battlefield. Then, Zhang Ting and the others temporarily hid. Seeing that Bai Xiaowen was up to no good, Tai Shuisheng was a little afraid. He took a step back and said, Can you let me go? He looked around. When he was sure that there were no natives of the spirit world, he quickly said, I'm willing to carry out the loser's clause. I'll pay you 5,000 psionic energy points. Please let me go this time. Also, if you allow me to stay in the Jiajing Plain, I'll double the price. I'll give you 10,000 psionic energy points. I didn't expect you to be so rich. Bai Xiaowen was a little surprised, but he still shook his head firmly. However, I won't let you go. Is it because Zhao Zhixiong is dead that you're worried about silencing him? Don't be like this. I can guarantee that I won't tell anyone the cause of Zhao Zhixiong's death. No one will find you. Tai Shuisheng retreated again and again. He gritted his teeth and a talisman appeared in his hand. I have a returning item. You can't kill me. Tai Shueisheng took the initiative to set the talisman in his hand to display it to Bai Xiaowen. Ground Escape Talisman. After use, the user can ignore the requirements of the main mission and be teleported out of the spirit world. It can be used in combat. If the main mission is not completed when used, the gains in the spirit world, including but not limited to psionic energy points, equipment, and items, will disappear. The returning item was very precious. Tai Shueisheng could not bear to use it, so he intended to bargain with Bai Xiaowen. He wanted to use the loser's clause to get his life back. Bai Xiaowen narrowed his eyes and quickly weighed the pros and cons. He wanted to kill Tai Shueisheng to prevent future trouble, but after seeing the Ground Escape Talisman in Tai Shueisheng's hand, he knew that it was impossible. At least in the Jiajing Plain, he could not kill him. Previously, when he killed Zhao Zhixiong, he had planned for Zhao Zhixiong to be attracted by the huge benefits and not run away immediately. Then, Bai Xiaowen cooperated with Shadow Assassin to kill Zhao Zhixiong by surprise. Now, Tai Shueisheng was like a frightened bird. As long as Bai Xiaowen made a further attack, he would immediately use the Ground Escape Talisman to escape. After Tai Shueisheng escaped, in order to take revenge on Bai Xiaowen, he would definitely reveal the news of Zhao Zhixiong's death to the guilds that he belonged to. Bai Xiaowen raised his hand and said calmly, "You have a good relationship with Zhao Zhixiong, don't you? He was so generous to you. Don't you want to take revenge for him?" "That's right. You'll get a life-saving return item." Tai Shueisheng looked indignant and said, "You think he treats me well? He only treated me as a follower. Every time I charged at the front and bled, he would leisurely shoot arrows from the back and take away most of the contribution points. He picked all the spoils of war and left me some scraps. I secretly saved this Ground Escape Talisman. Zhao Zhixiong doesn't know about it at all." Bai Xiaowen thought for a moment and said, "Okay, I can accept your proposal and use the loser's clause." Tai Shueisheng's face lit up with joy. The difference between the awakened who often wandered in the spirit realm and whether they had a Ground Escape Talisman or not was huge. For example, this time, if Tai Shueisheng did not have a Ground Escape Talisman, he would most likely be killed by Bai Xiaowen. With the Ground Escape Talisman, he could use it as a basis to negotiate with Bai Xiaowen. The next time he encountered a situation where he was hunted down by an awakened, Tai Shueisheng could do the same. He could pay a part of the psionic points to redeem his life. However, before Tai Shueisheng could be happy for too long, Bai Xiaowen quickly added, "A Ground Escape Talisman should be worth a lot, right?" Tai Shueisheng understood the meaning behind Bai Xiaowen's words. He hesitated for a moment and said, "It's worth about 10 or 20,000 psionic points." Bai Xiaowen sneered. "I'll pay 20,000 psionic points to buy your Ground Escape Talisman. Are you willing? Do you think I don't know the market price?" With that, Bai Xiaowen showed the Ground Escape Talisman to Tai Shueisheng. Li Shiyi, who was next to him, also showed him a Ground Escape Talisman. Tai Shueisheng's eyes widened. A hint of greed flashed in his eyes, but he suppressed it. In fact, Bai Xiaowen really did not know the market price of Ground Escape Talismans. He just speculated that it could not be so low and wanted to trick Tai Shueisheng. Tai Shueisheng himself did not have the experience of buying a Ground Escape Talisman. This Ground Escape Talisman was exchanged with merit points in the spirit realm. It was not taken from a psionic energy auction on Earth. The current situation is that if I don't agree to the loser's clause, you will be forced to use the Ground Escape Talisman. If I agree, you can save it, Bai Xiaowen said. Tai Shueisheng was not stupid. He tried to seize the initiative. "But if you agree to the loser's clause, I will ensure that the secret of Zhao Zhixiong's death by your hands will not be known. There will also be no follow-up revenge. This is beneficial to you." "Revenge? Do you think I will care?" Bai Xiaowen laughed. "Isn't he just a rookie from a classic guild? Am I worse than him? If you want to be reasonable, Zhao Zhixiong ambushed me and tried to kill me first. There are hints from the spirit realm's rules as proof. If this matter is brought to the officials, I will be in the right." Tai Shueisheng said in a muffled voice, What do you want? Name your price. Bai Xiaowen nodded and said, first of all, you have to pay 10,000 psionic energy points to buy your life. Don't feel bad. Compared to a ground escape talisman, 10,000 psionic energy points is very low. Tai Shuixing instinctively wanted to refuse, but when he saw the wrath claw sharpening its claws, Fatty's small eyes flashing fiercely, and the number of summoned creatures that made his scalp tingle, he gave in. 10,000 psionic energy points was not a small sum for him, but it was not like he could not afford it. Secondly, you have to promise that you will not reveal anything that happened in the Jiajing Plain. You will not reveal any information about the cause of Zhao Shixiong's death. This will be notarized by the spirit realm's rules. You will pay the notarization fee, Bai Xiaowen added. The notarization fee was not much, only a few hundred psionic energy points. Tai Shuixing tacitly agreed to this condition. The corner of his mouth twitched as he asked, anything else? That's all. Agree to these, and you can keep your ground escape talisman and leave the Jiajing Plain, Bai Xiaowen said. Tai Shuixing hesitated for a moment, but he still agreed. The two of them quickly signed a notarization agreement. Then, Tai Shuixing traded 10,000 psionic energy points to Bai Xiaowen according to the agreement. Bai Xiaowen also lifted the siege of Tai Shuixing by the summoned creatures according to the agreement. Tai Shuixing took 2 steps forward and looked back again. Then, he quickly slipped to a place not far away. After waiting for 10 seconds, he left the Jiajing Plain. There are still some hidden dangers. Tai Shuixing might not be able to keep the secret, Bai Xiaowen said. Li Shi was puzzled. If you violate the agreement, you will never be able to enter the spirit realm. Is Tai Shuixing really willing to bear this price? Tai Shuixing definitely won't be willing to bear this price himself, so he will definitely keep it a secret for us. He will also fabricate a story about Zhao Shixiong's accidental death. However, I don't know if this story will satisfy the important person behind Zhao Shixiong. If they see through it, the person behind Zhao Shixiong will definitely investigate, and Tai Shuixing will become the breakthrough point. Perhaps when the time comes, he will not be able to act independently. Bai Xiaowen paused. Despite having such concerns, Bai Xiaowen's choices were very narrow. Being able to squeeze 10,000 psionic energy points out of Tai Shuixing was already the most optimal choice. This was better than taking the risk of killing him and letting Tai Shuixing escape from the Jiajing Plain. Then, he would take the initiative to report all of this to the important person behind Zhao Shixiong. Li Shi also understood why Bai Xiaowen made such a choice. He smiled and said, all right. Even if the other party finds out, it's not a big deal. We are not to be trifled with. Bai Xiaowen exhaled lightly and cast aside his unnecessary worries. He smiled and said, that's right. There's no point in thinking too much. Let's go. Don't let the 2 pirate leaders, Qindong and Yimatzi, wait too long. Golden Gate Island was not big. It was only 150 square kilometers. Bai Xiaowen, Li Shi, Zhang Ting, and the other 2 elite captains started tracking. With the Wrath Claw around, it was not difficult to find traces of the escaping Qindong and Yimatzi. After tracking them to the vicinity of a cliff, the Wrath Claw let out a low whine. What's wrong? Li Shi asked through the team channel. We're almost there. Bai Xiaowen and the Wrath Claw had a telepathic connection. There was no difficulty in communicating with the Wrath Claw. It could be regarded as a level 8 orc language. However, the Wrath Claw discovered a new situation. The 2 scents it was tracking have converged at this location. Li Shi, so you're saying that Qindong and Yimatzi converged at the same place when they escaped? That's right. Bai Xiaowen nodded. 2 pirate leaders. Although they're both injured, they're not easy to deal with. They should still have some pirates under their command. Li Shi was a little worried. He glanced at the 3 elite captains beside him. The difficulty of this mission is sea level. If we're honest, we'll only be responsible for keeping an eye on them. Once the government has suppressed Su Hai and the other pirates, we'll send elite soldiers to kill the 2 pirate leaders. This is the easiest choice. However, the reward is also the lowest, Bai Xiaowen said. If we personally kill Chendong and Yimatzi, the difficulty of the mission will increase. Of course, the evaluation and reward will also be higher. So, your decision is? Li Shi looked at Bai Xiaowen with a faint smile. Bai Xiaowen squeezed his fingers. Let's go. It's just a sea-level hero mission. Even if the difficulty is increased, how much harder can it be? If we can't complete it, then no one in the two-man team of intermediate hunters can. On a low mountain ridge, the two pirates, Yimatzi and Chendong, looked at each other and sighed. Beside them, there were several elite pirates following them. All of them looked frightened. I didn't expect Monk Su to be so vicious. He wants to destroy both of us in one fell swoop. His appetite is too big. Chendong said indignantly. Brother Chen, I've long said that Monk Su is not a good person. Do you believe me now? After we escape this disaster, we'll reorganize the fleet and kill Monk Su. Yimatzi's eyes flashed with a fierce light. Chendong said, Monk Su is not doing well now. He was stabbed by his own cousin and is in the middle of an internal strife. That's why I was able to escape. I'm not like you. I don't have a secret technique to escape from the battlefield. Yimatzi's slightly fat face was pale. He shook his head and smiled bitterly. The price is too high. Suddenly, Chendong narrowed his eyes and looked at the sea in the distance. That's not right. Why are there so many ships? Yimatzi looked in the direction of the sound. After seeing the flags of the incoming ships, he was shocked. These are all warships of the Imperial Court. Monk Su is indeed colluding with the Imperial Court. This time, he wants to sell us both to the Imperial Court. Brother Yi, don't worry about it so much. Let's change our appearance first and quietly sneak back to Golden Gate Port to see the situation. If things are still okay, we'll lead our men to fight our way out. If there's no hope, we'll quietly slip away in the chaos. As long as there's life, there's hope. After a few years, we'll still be able to gather a group of people. Chendong still had a trace of luck in his heart because he saw the scene of Su Hai being stabbed by Su Hong. He felt that the alliance between Su Hai and the Ming army might not be so close. However, the moment Chendong stood up, a sense of crisis welled up in his heart. His sense of danger, which had been honed through life and death for more than 10 years on the sea, made him almost unhesitatingly turn sideways. At the same time, he felt a pain in his side ribs. A short sword had pierced his ribs. Chendong let out a muffled groan and slapped out with the back of his hand. This slap was so powerful that it sent the attacker flying several meters away. Yima scolded, "Sneaky bastard, die for me." He raised his broadsword and slashed down with all his strength. However, before Yimazi's blade could hit its target, a bolt of lightning accurately struck down from the sky and interrupted his movements. The ambusher quickly retreated after her attack failed. It was a woman shrouded in black mist. It was Bai Xiaowen's shadow assassin. "You two made me look for you." A voice sounded. Chendong, Yimazi, and the other pirates looked over and saw Bai Xiaowen and Li Shi appear at the corner of the valley with a group of summoned creatures. "Who are you? What do you want?" Chendong asked coldly. He had been stabbed by the shadow assassin. Although it didn't hit his vitals, it was still very painful. Normally, this pirate leader would have already ordered his subordinates to rush over and tear the attacker to shreds. However, now that Chendong had fallen from grace, he didn't dare to be so fierce. He could only swallow his anger and understand the situation. "I'm a disciple of the Taoist sect. I can be considered half a member of the Imperial Court," Bai Xiaowen said slowly. "This time, I'm here to kill the two of you, or to be killed by the two of you." Li Shi almost laughed out loud. Chendong's heart was burning with anger. Bai Xiaowen's status as a member of the Imperial Court made him even more fearful. He placed his fingers behind his back and quietly sent out orders. The few elite pirates saw this and understood. They quietly spread out and looked around. Not long after, the elite pirates replied with a hand gesture to Chendong. "Only the few of you?" Qindong's courage was boosted. He had thought that the Imperial army was lying in ambush nearby, but who would have thought that there wasn't? Chapter 359. While talking to Qindong, Bai Xiaowen had already used insight to look at Qindong and Yimazi's information. Yimazi, leader level 7, / weakened state, race, humanoid / human, profession, wild executioner, attributes, strength 70, agility 31, constitution 42, spirit 15, skill 1, spiral kill, perform earthly saber technique while rolling on the ground. Increase your own hit rate and decrease your opponent's hit rate. Attack the enemy's leg has a chance to add a speed reduction effect. Skill 2, sand toss, throw sand and soil to blind the enemy. Skill 3, decapitation, attempt to end an opponent's life. Deal heavy damage to the target and try to cut off the opponent's head. The target must pass the judgment of death or die instantly. Can only be used on enemies with less than 30% HP. Skill 4, reverse blood flow, enter super armor for a short period of time. Attack power increased by 50%, defense power increased by 50%, speed increased by 100%. After the effect ends, the target will enter a weakened state. Attack power and attack speed will be reduced by 30% for 2 days. Skill 5, Pirate Flag Master Level 2, increase HP by 400 points. Reduce abnormal statuses and control effects by 40%. After reading Pockmark Ye's information, Bai Xiaowen secretly felt lucky. This guy had the same judgment of death skill as the White Ghoul Queen. Moreover, as the overall leader, Yimazi's Pirate Flag Master General skill had reached level 2. It increased HP by a lot and the duration of the control skill was shorter. Fortunately, Yimazi's Judgment of Death skill was more demanding. It required the target to have less than 30% HP. Most importantly, Yimazi was now under the negative effect of reverse blood flow. His strength was greatly reduced. His attack power and attack speed were reduced by 30%. The threat level was naturally reduced. This was also one of the reasons why Bai Xiaowen could detect all of his opponent's skills. Bai Xiaowen could also see Yimazi's HP. It had not recovered to full yet. It was a total of points. Then, he looked at Qindong's status. Qindong, leader level 7, race, humanoid / human, profession, wind shadow swordsman, attributes, strength 41, agility 66, constitution 35, spirit 18, skill 1, wind chasing swordsmanship. When Qindong performs the wind-chasing swordsmanship, he uses a special swordsmanship pattern to increase his own attack speed and suppress the target's attack speed. Stackable up to 5 stacks. Each stack increases / decreases the target's attack speed by 5%. Lasts for 4 seconds. Skill 2, Bloodbath, additional bleeding effect will be applied to critical hits. Qindong's attack power will increase by 10% for every enemy that has been inflicted with the bleeding effect. Skill 3? Skill 4? Skill 5, Pirate Flag Master LV2, omitted. On the other hand, Qindong's HP wasn't full either. He had been besieged for a long time and had even been punched by Su Hai. After Bai Xiaowen finished reading Qindong's information, he said to Li Shi in the party channel, "Don't fight against Qindong for now. His skills. Just the skills he detects are enough to counter you. However, if he drops the wind-chasing swordsmanship skill book, it'll be worth it for you to get rid of one of your skills." In comparison, Qindong's agility-based skills didn't have Yimazi's terrifying Judgment of Death skill, but he was better at fighting a battle of attrition. This was what Bai Xiaowen deduced from the 2 skills he had detected. Bai Xiaowen quickly formulated a strategy. It was better to cut off one of the enemy's fingers than to wound all 10. First, he would ignore the weakened Yimazi and focus on killing Qindong. As for the elite pirates, he would leave them to Zhang Ting and the other 2 captains. The reason why he didn't make Yimazi their first target was because he was less of a threat. Moreover, being in a weakened state didn't mean that he was heavily injured. Yimazi's damage output was greatly reduced, but his HP, armor and other defensive attributes didn't decrease at all. The difficulty of killing him didn't decrease at all. Under Bai Xiaowen's command, the summoned creatures charged forward. The Shadow Assassin, Skeletal Fiend Arcane Master, Wrath Claw, Skeletal Swordsman, Vampire Keats, and Bai Xiaowen himself all targeted Chendong. Li Shi and Fatty the Suture Freak blocked Yimazi's path and used guerrilla tactics to delay him. Pockmarked Yi pulled out his broadsword and performed the Earth Hall Saber technique of spiral kill. He focused on attacking Li Shi's lower body. Li Shi's legs were shrouded in the light of his broadsword. Every time Li Shi parried or attacked, she had to bend down slightly. This was the special feature of spiral kill. It lowered the opponent's hit rate while increasing the user's hit rate. However, Fatty the Suture Freak's usefulness showed itself. Under Bai Xiaowen's control, it didn't need to deal much damage. All it needed to do was take half a step forward when Li Shi couldn't dodge in time and use its fat body to absorb a wave of damage for Li Shi. On the other side, the battle with Chendong was truly intense. Chendong used Chasing Wind swordplay. Every time he attacked, his attack speed would increase by a notch, while his opponent's attack speed would be reduced by a notch. Fortunately, Bai Xiaowen was prepared and sent many summoned creatures to surround Chendong. No matter how powerful Chendong's Chasing Wind swordplay was, it could only reduce the attack speed of a single opponent. The other summoned creatures could attack freely. The summoned creature that was targeted by Chendong's wind-chasing sword technique to reduce his attack speed was, without a doubt, Angry Claw. This level 5 Wolf King was the biggest threat to Chendong. Moreover, Chendong's single-handed swordsmanship was clearly superior to Bai Xiaowen's. With a few light slashes, he left a few wounds on the Wrath Claw. One of the slashes even triggered a critical hit that caused bleeding. Chendong's body was covered in a layer of bloody light. His attack power increased. Fortunately, the skeleton swordsmen were immune to bleeding and wouldn't allow Chendong's bloodbath skill to stack too many times. This was also a strategy that Bai Xiaowen came up with after careful consideration. Being surrounded by a group of enemies was undoubtedly disadvantageous for an agility-based boss like Chendong. After a few rounds of battle, Chendong's body suddenly glowed. His body turned into a series of afterimages as he slashed horizontally and vertically. The health points of the surrounding summoned creatures dropped uniformly. Two of the skeleton swordsmen were directly chopped into pieces. Bai Xiaowen received a notification from the Spiritual Realms rules. Pirate leader Chendong's skill, Shadowless Slash, has been activated. In the process of Shadowless Slash, Chendong could not be targeted, and he could move as a shadow. After a few slashes from Shadowless Slash ended, Chendong's body reformed. He had already escaped the encirclement formed by the Wrath Claw and the other summoned creatures. His body was like an eagle as he pounced towards Bai Xiaowen, who was commanding from afar. With a swoosh, a slightly illusory Chendong appeared behind Bai Xiaowen. The illusory Chendong raised his sword at the same time as the real Chendong in front of him. Two illusory dragon-shaped auras slashed down at the same time. Chapter 360. Shadowless Slash and Double Dragon Flash were Chendong's two major combat skills that had not been detected. Chendong had used Shadowless Slash to escape and then used Double Dragon Flash to kill his opponent. This was because Double Dragon Flash itself had a deterrence effect. The two dragon-shaped auras from the front and back would lock the opponent in place, making it impossible for them to dodge. However, this surefire attack had missed. The moment Double Dragon Flash struck, Li Shi suddenly raised her right hand, and an invisible light thread connected with Bai Xiaowen. In the next second, Bai Xiaowen's figure suddenly disappeared from the force of Double Dragon Flash and appeared beside Li Shi. This was the elite team's special skill, Lure. When Bai Xiaowen was choosing between the three party enhancement effects, he had considered giving up on the critical strike rate bonus and the HP bonus. However, the only thing that remained unchanged was the ability to draw the party's attention. It was a must. This team ability, which had a public cooldown of 8 hours, finally showed its value. Chendong's surefire attack had ended in failure. In fact, when Zhao Zhixiong had ambushed Bai Xiaowen, Li Shi could have used the lure skill. However, Shi and Bai Xiaowen had not expected Zhao Zhixiong's arrow to have a piercing effect. They had thought that the skeleton swordsman could block it, so they did not pay enough attention to it and did not use lure. Li Shi had learned her lesson from last time and firmly remembered the importance of the lure skill. This time, she did not take the risk and directly used the lure skill to bring Bai Xiaowen back to a safe place. After Chendong's attack had missed, he did not turn back to pursue. Instead, he turned around and fled. It was obvious that he had given up on Yimatsi. Trust was not worth as much as his own life. The current situation was clear. The strange Taoist priest in front of them, who was good at controlling skeletal beasts, was very powerful. Moreover, the imperial army was closing in on them. Every second was extremely precious. Yimatsi was in a weakened state and his combat power had been reduced by half. He was almost a burden. It would have been great if they could have killed this strange Taoist priest, Bai Xiaowen, in one shot. However, since they had failed, there was no reason to stay and fight. However, as soon as Chendong took his first step, a sense of fear gripped his heart, causing him to stop abruptly. Master Chen, are you going to abandon Yimatsi? Running away like this is not good for your reputation. Bai Xiaowen's mocking voice sounded. When he saw Chendong's movement, he decisively used the deterrence skill and froze him in place. A group of summoned creatures then rushed up and continued to encircle him. Although Chendong had the boss skill Pirate Flag Master LV2 which could reduce the duration of status restriction by 40%, his spirit was relatively low, so the duration of deterrence's fear effect would be prolonged. In this way, he still had a control time of 3 seconds, which was enough for Angry Claw and the other summoned creatures to surround him again. Chendong was furious. He shouted at Bai Xiaowen, "Little cow nose, are you really going to kill us all?" Bai Xiaowen's lips curled into a cold smile. People like you shouldn't be alive. During his time in the Jiajing Plain, Bai Xiaowen had seen the tragic situation after being robbed in the Chuanzhou prefecture. Wealthy families could still abandon their belongings and escape through secret passages in advance. However, ordinary people could only become lambs waiting to be slaughtered. The Woka pirates raped and pillaged. There was no evil that they would not shrink from. In the Jiajing Plain, only 30% of the Woka pirates were real, and 70% of the fake Woka pirates were fake. In Bai Xiaowen's opinion, the real Woka pirates deserved to die. As for those who were originally Chinese citizens, they were of the same blood and roots. They had pretended to be Woka pirates and robbed their fellow countrymen. They deserved to be hacked into pieces. Under other circumstances, Bai Xiaowen would have shown some respect to a high-ranking leader like Chendong, the overall leader of a small force. However, Bai Xiaowen had no respect for the Woka pirate Chendong at all. A bolt of lightning struck from a distance. Chendong paused in his swinging motion. Then, 2 skeleton sword-wielders rushed forward and slammed their shields into Chendong. Although they did not push Chendong back, they did make him pause for a moment. Li Shi ignored Yimatsi and activated the level 4 acceleration effect of his shoes. At the same time, he used the barbaric charge skill to enter the field. With a fierce impact, he knocked Chendong back a short distance. Then, the Wrath Claw exploded. After using Howl to buff everyone, it pounced and pushed Chendong, who was in an unbalanced state, to the ground. Its 2 front claws tore at Chendong crazily, and blood splattered everywhere. During the 1.5 seconds of the suppression effect, reduced by Chendong's level 2 Pirate Flag Master skill, the group of summoned creatures, including Bai Xiaowen and Li Shi, began to attack crazily. After the suppression effect ended, the numbness all over Chendong's body disappeared. He used his chi to push the Wrath Claw back and tried to get up. However, Bai Xiaowen's talisman switch, Charm of Bewitchment, was already prepared. Under Bai Xiaowen's precise calculation, the Charm of Bewitchment hit Chendong and stunned him for another 2 seconds. Chendong was already injured and only had a little over 500 health points. Now, he had several layers of bleeding effects all over his body, and his health points were less than 200. As an agility-type boss, Qindong's strength did not have an overwhelming advantage. Other than the shadowless slash that he had just activated, which allowed him to transform into a shadow and escape from the encirclement, he did not have any other way to escape. If he was a strength-type boss, after being surrounded, he could still rely on his powerful strength to push the summoned creatures back and open a path for himself. Qindong could only give up on the idea of escaping an attack with all his might. He tried to inflict as much damage as possible on his enemy before he fell. This was the final ferocity of a veteran Japanese pirate. Almost all of his attacks were aimed at Li Shui, and he did not care about the attacks of the others. However, the surface of Li Shui's body flashed with a faint light, and unexpectedly became illusory. Qindong stabbed several times with his sword. Although he had clearly hit his target, the feeling that he had transmitted to him was that of emptiness. It was as if he had stabbed the air. On the other hand, Li Shui's speed was increased to the maximum. Both of his swords were thrust forward almost without pause. The movements of his swords were as precise as the movements of a textile machine. The flaming light of the Devil's Flame Dance continued to inflict damage on Qindong. This illusory state was, of course, thanks to Li Shui's new gold equipment, the Ring of Nothingness. Within 5 seconds after the ring was activated, there was a 99% forced evasion rate against physical attacks or skills with priority level 7 and below. Within these 5 seconds, Li Shui was almost invincible against physical damage type bosses. He did not have to worry about defense and could just attack with all his might. Since he did not have to worry about defense, he would not be affected by Qindong's chasing wind sword technique. Naturally, his attack speed would not decrease. After accumulating 5 stacks of Thundermark, Li Shui chose to detonate the Devil's Flame Dance along with the accumulated fire damage of the Devil's Flame Dance. Above Qindong's head, a frightening damage value of over 100 points suddenly appeared. At the same time, the Wrath Claw's rend hit Qindong, triggering the additional critical strike chance of Blood Rage. Qindong's HP quickly dropped to 1/750. He fell to his knees and coughed out a mouthful of blood. I can't believe I'm going to die here. I'm not interested in hearing your last words. Go to hell. Bai Xiaowen shot Qindong in between his eyebrows. Blood spurted out from between Qindong's eyebrows as he fell to the ground. He only managed to finish half of his last words. It's all because the court banned the sea. I was forced to. Bai Xiaowen quickly ordered his summoned creatures to attack Yi Mai. After Li Shui switched his target to Qindong, only the stitched monster was left to deal with Yi Mai. After taking a few hits from Yi Mai, its HP had dropped by almost 300 points. Fortunately, the stitched monster fatty's HP was unusually high. In addition, Yi Mai's attack power and attack speed had been greatly reduced. Otherwise, Fatty would not have been able to withstand the fierce attacks of the level 7 strength-type boss. After Qindong died, Yi Mai became even more passive. Originally, this boss's strength was as high as 70 points. This meant that melee creatures such as skeletal swordsmen and stitched monsters would not be able to maintain their formation and hold their positions well. However, Yi Mai was in a weakened state. He was like a tiger that had its teeth pulled out. The biggest threat had been greatly reduced. The summoned creatures took turns tanking Yi Mai's attacks. It was not difficult for them. Yi Mai's dexterity was relatively low. When surrounded, his dodging ability was much worse than Qindong's. He was hit repeatedly, and his HP dropped rapidly. It was worth mentioning that Yi Mai's Sandstorm skill was rather shameless. It had a 10-second blinding duration and a very short cooldown. Li Shui, who was originally the main attacker, was being targeted. Yi Mai used Sandstorm as soon as his skill's cooldown was over, blinding Li Shui. Li Shui could still continue to attack while blinded. However, he could not see his target clearly. It was easy for him to accidentally injure his allies. Moreover, it was easy for him to take a critical hit. Therefore, every time he was hit by Sandstorm, Li Shui had to retreat and wait for the skill to end before attacking again. Even without Li Shui's attack, Bai Xiaowen and the summoned creatures were still very effective. Moreover, Bai Xiaowen and the summoned creatures were not afraid of the blinding effect of sandstorm. The reason was very simple. The summoned creatures were under Bai Xiaowen's precise control. They could attack the target without vision. Once Bai Xiaowen was blinded, he could switch to the shared vision of the summoned creatures and continue to command them. Soon, Yimaye's HP dropped below 100 points. Yimaye was covered in blood. He leaped high, held his sword with both hands, and slashed down fiercely. A white light flashed like a waterfall. Fatty Suture, who originally had more than 100 HP, had his head chopped off. Filthy blood splattered everywhere, and his fat body fell to the ground with a plop. This was Yimaye's decapitation skill. As long as the judgment of death was triggered, the target would be killed directly, regardless of their HP. This was just Yimaye's final radiance. Bai Xiaowen was not affected. He calmly commanded the summoned creatures to attack Yimaye and depleted his HP. Boom. Yimaye's fat body fell to the ground. On the other side of the battlefield, the battle between Zhang Ting and the other two elite captains and several elite pirates had also ended. Under Bai Xiaowen's command and with the help of vampire Keats, they killed these elite pirates one after another. It was worth mentioning that Zhang Ting and the others' attacks did not affect Bai Xiaowen's loot. The elite pirates also dropped 2 silver treasure chests. In the end, they obtained 2 gold treasure chests and 2 silver treasure chests. The trembling of Golden Gate Island became more and more obvious. A large number of the Ming army's warships had already blocked off the pirates who were fighting among the 3 families in Golden Gate Harbor. In addition, there were Ming army ships approaching Golden Gate Island. Groups of soldiers, who had been trained by Hu Zongxian and Yu Dayo, had already begun to disembark. Let's go! Now is not the time to open the treasure chests. This is a rare opportunity. Let's kill a few more elites and leaders before the situation is settled. Bai Xiaowen collected the 4 treasure chests and said to Li Shui. Li Shui nodded. The 2 of them led a group of summoned creatures and Zhang Ting and the other captains back to Golden Gate Harbor. Along the way, they did encounter some lone elite pirates. Needless to say, they were all killed by Bai Xiaowen and Li Shui. Although they did not drop any treasure chests, the spiritual energy points they gave were real. One elite pirate was worth several hundred spiritual energy points. They killed their way back to the mountain where the 3 families had gathered. Su Hai and the others were still there. Su Hong's corpse was lying on the ground, bleeding profusely. Obviously, under the betrayal of the pirates, Su Hai regained the initiative and killed his cousin, Su Hong, who had betrayed him. In addition to Su Hai, the injured Yu Dayo was also there. A group of elite soldiers under his command had surrounded Su Hai and the others and were questioning them. Su Hai raised his head and saw Bai Xiaowen. He immediately became excited and shouted, "He's over there." Yu Dayo tilted his head and smiled, "You're not dead." Bai Xiaowen was a little speechless. Yu Dayo was obviously happy, but why did these words sound a little harsh to the ear? However, Bai Xiaowen naturally wouldn't argue with Yu Dayo about this. He smiled and nodded. "I've been tracking the 2 thieves Chen and Yi all the way. When I saw that they wanted to flee in disguise, I took their lives. That's why I was delayed for some time." Yu Dayo laughed. "I knew that Taoist Bai's strength was extraordinary. To think that I was worried about you. I didn't expect that you would be the one who got the biggest credit. I'm ashamed. This credit mainly belongs to you and the governor. I'm just a cultivator. I don't care about this." Bai Xiaowen put on a noble appearance. He had to say what he wanted to say when dealing with people. Yu Dayo nodded, "You're right. Actually, for me, as long as I can kill the pirates, I don't mind being a small commander." A burst of laughter rang out. "General Yu, if you can only be a small commander, who can be a general? I'm the governor of Zhiruo and the general of the army. People will say that I'm blind." Chapter 361. Governor. Governor. Bai Xiaowen and Yu Daiyou greeted Hu Zongxian one after another, then greeted Su Wei. Hu Zongxian walked in front of Su Hai and nodded slightly. "You are Su Hai." Su Hai's facial muscles twitched slightly. He had been on the sea for many years, dominating the life and death of others. At this time, it was difficult for him to lower his head and bow to Hu Zongxian. However, Su Hai was an ambitious and ruthless person. After a short hesitation, he knelt down and said, "Lord Hu, I am willing to accept the amnesty. I implore Lord Hu to give this Su and my subordinates a way out." Hu Zongxian said lightly, "Well said, put down your weapons and let the soldiers take care of you. If anyone resists, they will be treated as remnants of the pirates and killed without mercy." Except for a few trusted pirates who looked at Su Hai, the other pirates had already lost their will to fight and threw down the swords in their hands. Su Hai felt a burst of sadness in his heart. The sound of weapons falling to the ground was clearly the true portrayal of his subordinates' hearts. Even if they wanted to fight back now, it was impossible. Yu Daiyou was watching covetously from the side. The Ming army also had a few hundred elite soldiers. Hu Zongxian had clearly made preparations to guard against the unexpected, so he dared to take the risk. Su Hai sighed and motioned for his trusted pirates to throw down their weapons. The Ming army took away their weapons one by one, then took out long ropes and tied the hands of the pirates under Su Hai's command, forming a string of captives. "Wait!" Su Hai said in surprise. "Lord Hu, we took the initiative to surrender and accept the amnesty. How can we be treated like prisoners?" Su Wei said from the side, "In order to prevent the remnants of the pirates from remaining, we have to deal with them like this. Don't worry, when we return to land, Lord Hu will definitely consider carefully." Su Hai looked at his subordinates who had taken the initiative to stretch out their hands and obediently accept being tied up. He knew that there was no benefit in arguing, so he could only nod and accept. Finally, he asked tentatively, "What does Lord Hu want to do with me?" Hu Zongxian looked at Su Hai. "What do you think?" Su Hai thought for a moment and said, "I am proficient in naval warfare. There are tens of thousands of people under my command, and no less than 3,000 of them can fight. If Lord Hu is willing to give me the honor of being a general, I will definitely pledge my life to Lord Hu. Suppressing the Japanese rebellion will be a cinch." Hu Zongxian shook his head. Bai Xiaowen also felt that Su Hai was asking for too much. The general of the Ming dynasty was a third-grade military officer. Yu Daiyou had repeatedly made meritorious contributions and had gone through fire and water for many years. Even now, he was still not a general. If Hu Zongxian agreed to Su Hai's request, wouldn't Yu Daiyou and the other meritorious generals be disappointed? Su Hai hesitated, then, "What about General Yu Ji?" Hu Zongxian still shook his head. Su Hai held back his indignation and said, "It seems that this Su can only be a general manager." Hu Zongxian smiled faintly. "What are you laughing at, Lord Hu?" Su Hai teased. "Am I not even worth a single cent?" Hu Zongxian stopped smiling. "Left and right, take down this thief." The elite soldiers on both sides complied and rushed out at the same time. One on the left and one on the right, they pressed down on Su Hai's shoulders. Su Hai was slightly startled. He roared angrily and swung his two thick arms, throwing the two elite soldiers away. He said sternly, "Lord Hu, are you going to go back on your word?" Su Wei stood up and reprimanded, "Su Hai, for many years, you have led pirates to attack and harass the Ming dynasty. How many innocent people have you killed? How much blood have you stained your hands? Do you still need to be honest with a beast like you?" Su Hai's eyes widened. "So, from the beginning, the amnesty was a lie. First it was Wang Ji, then it was me. If you do this, in the future, no one will dare to accept the amnesty of the imperial court. When the false is real, the real is fake." As if to give face to Hu Zongxian, these words were spoken by Su Wei. He slowly said to Su Hai, "That time with Wang Ji, the military governor, and I really did not want to kill him. Killing Wang Ji would cause chaos in the southeast. Unfortunately, there were many discussions in the court and the military governor was also forced to do so. And now, the chaos in the southeast has already formed. What is the use of keeping your life? We also have to guard against your evil intentions and rebel at any time. Bai Xiaowen thought to himself that Su Wei's worries were indeed not casual. Su Hai was definitely not an easy person to deal with. When he was under Wang Zhi's command, he had a conflict with Wang Zhi and even wanted to assassinate Wang Zhi. His ambition was so great that it could not be restrained by a salary from the imperial court. Su Hai clenched his fists, and an intimidating aura spread out. Several Ming Dynasty soldiers did not dare to step forward. Cowering in the face of battle and not listening to orders, behead. Hu Zongxian's eyes flashed with a murderous aura. He was a scholar, but he also held the military and political power of South Jili, Zhejiang, Fujian and other provinces. The strictness of his military was not inferior to that of the famous generals of ancient times. The bodyguards of the Ming dynasty behind the bodyguards all drew their steel sabers. With a flash of their sabers, the heads of the Ming dynasty bodyguards fell to the ground. General Yu, spiritual master Bai Xiao, I still need the help of the two of you to capture this thief. Hu Zongxian said. Bai Xiaowen was surprised and curious at the same time. Since when were the rules of the spiritual realm so generous as to send him an exhausted general for him to kill? What's more, it was under the watch of the Ming army. Yu Daio sighed and took a step forward. Although he was standing with his arms crossed, he had the aura of a grand master. Su Hai, the situation is over. Don't resist. You are the commander of an army. Don't die too badly. Bai Xiaowen knew that things were not going well. Su Hai smiled bitterly, if a man dies, then he dies. What is there to fear? He turned to Zongxian. My wife, Wang Cuiqiao, is from Jiaxing. She has not done any evil. Please spare her life and allow her to return home. Hu Zongxian nodded. She has someone to take care of her. You don't have to worry. Su Hai said, I will believe you for the last time. He pulled out his knife and slid it across his neck. His burly body fell to the ground. Bai Xiaowen curled his lips. He knew that there would be no such thing. Several trusted pirates loyal to Su Hai were all excited and clamored to step forward. However, their hands were tied, and they had no room to resist. One by one, they were killed by the Ming dynasty soldiers. This was probably their goal as well. Looking at the other pirates who were obviously uneasy, Hu Zongxian said in a clear voice, I only want to kill Su Hai. You people have been bewitched by Su Hai to help him. If you are willing to atone for your crimes and join the Vanguard Battalion, I will guarantee you a great future. Hu Zongxian was backed by the imperial court of the Great Ming Dynasty, and the pie he painted was still very tempting. The pirates who were watching the show all prostrated themselves on the ground. Chapter 362. At the Golden Gate Harbor, the three pirate fleets were surrounded by the Imperial Navy and they called for surrender. Some of the pirates did not believe in the Imperial Court and wanted to escape in a small boat. However, without exception, they were all knocked over by the Imperial Navy. After Hu Zongxian gave the order, the Imperial Navy fired arrows and guns, killing all the pirates that fell into the water. This was Hu Zongxian's attitude. He could recruit these pirates and give them a chance to turn over a new leaf. At the same time, he could increase his fighting strength. However, Hu Zongxian's tolerance was very low. He only wanted those cowardly and obedient pirate captives. Those pirates that were a little more courageous and refused to surrender were seen by Hu Zongxian as wild and unruly and were shot dead. The reason why Hu Zongxian killed Su Hai was probably because of this. Keeping Su Hai alive would give him one more general. However, Su Hai's thoughts were still uncertain. The possibility of him rebelling was very high. If Su Hai rebelled, Hu Zongxian would definitely not be able to handle the Imperial Censorate's accusations. After a period of confrontation, the pirates finally listened to the Imperial Navy's orders. They threw down their weapons and kneeled on the deck with their hands on their heads to surrender. The main reason was that the important figures of the pirates were all on Golden Gate Island. Some had died, and some had surrendered. Most of the pirates guarding the harbor did not have the qualifications to participate in the gathering of the three families. Their status was very low. Right now, they were in a situation where they did not have a leader. When they heard that their leader had been killed, they naturally lost the courage to fight against the imperial court. After more than 2 hours, the large-scale surrender finally came to an end. Hu Zhongshan had captured a few thousand pirates. He had killed the 3 leaders of the pirates and captured a few thousand elite pirates. This was a great achievement. Hu Zhongshan was very pleased with himself. He twirled his beard and smiled as he accepted the compliments and congratulations of the officers on the ship. Suddenly, a bodyguard trotted over and whispered something to Hu Zhongshan. Hu Zhongshan's face sank slightly. He nodded and said, "Bring her over." Not long later, a few Ming soldiers brought a beautiful woman to Hu Zhongshan's flagship ship. Bai Xiaowen recognized that this woman was Wang Zuiqiao, whom he had met once before. Wang Zuiqiao's face was pale as she bowed to Hu Zhongshan. "Governor, why don't I see my husband? This concubine is on the ship. I heard from the soldiers that the 3 bandit chieftains have been executed. Dare I ask, Sir Governor, where is my husband, Su Hai?" Hu Zhongshan coughed but didn't answer. A Ming general by the name of Lu Tang shouted coldly, "Su Hai's evil intentions have not died. He has already been executed." Wang Zuiqiao was stunned. Hu Zhongshan said gently, "Wang Zuiqiao, you are from Jiaxing. Although you are living in the musical house, you are still a citizen of the great Ming dynasty. Su Hai is a rebellious pirate who forcibly abducted you. Why are you so dead set on him?" Wang Chui pursed her lips without a trace of blood. "Governor, please allow this concubine to collect Su Hai's corpse. I am completely disheartened. I only wish to spend the rest of my life under the lamp in Buddha. Su Hai's head must be transported to the capital to report the victory. Who knows how many lives have been taken by this kind of bandit? Leaving his corpse in the wilderness is not enough to vent the anger of the people. No one is allowed to bury him." Hu Zhongshan snorted. Seeing Wang Zuiqiao's pale face, his tone softened. "You don't have to be afraid. This official knows that you have not done any evil and will not be implicated by Su Hai. I guarantee that you will have no worries for the rest of your life." Hu Zhongshan waved his hand to the side. A middle-aged man who looked like a scholar walked over and bowed to Hu Zhongshan. "Greetings, Governor. Mr. Luo?" Wang Zuiqiao was surprised. That person was the scholar Luo Longwen who had dealt with Bai Xiaowen before. At this time, he had already changed out of his tattered gown and was dressed completely new from head to toe. He had transformed from a destitute pirate into a well-dressed scholar. Hu Zhongshan smiled. "Miss Wang, you and Luo Longwen are old acquaintances. In the early years, when he was poor, you sponsored his entrance exam while you were still in your boudoir. This is fate. It is a pity that the weather is unpredictable. Your father was convicted and implicated you. Later, Su Hai broke into the city and kidnapped you. Misfortune does not come alone. Not only is there a natural disaster, there is also a man-made disaster." Hu Zhongshan was like a storyteller, rambling on and on. After pausing for a moment, he continued. "There is a saying, it is easy to find a priceless treasure, but hard to find a lover. After Luo Longwen passed the imperial examination, he heard that you were kidnapped by Su Hai. He gave up his future and took the initiative to find this official, willing to be a private advisor. Later, Mr. Wenchang and I came up with a plan to spy on the Woka pirates and sow discord. Luo Longwen did not care about his own safety and volunteered to join Su Hai. It was all to find you." After listening to the twists and turns of the story, the people on the ship were filled with emotion. Some people praised Luo Xiu's talent and loyalty, while others lamented that Luo and Wang's good life was full of setbacks. Of course, everyone was trying to figure out the meaning of Hu Zhongshan's words, but most of them scolded Su Hai. If Su Hai had not interfered, Luo Longwen would have continued to take the imperial examination. After passing the imperial examination, he would have returned home in glory and picked up Wang Zuiqiao, who had become a famous prostitute in Hangzhou, from the brothel. Wouldn't that have been a happy ending? Of course, the ending was not bad. Luo Longwen had made a lot of contributions. With Hu Zongxian, the governor of Zhujiang as his backing, it would be much easier for him to pass the imperial examination. At the same time, he also had a beautiful wife. Moreover, with the addition of Su Hai, the story of him and Wang Zuiqiao could be written into a drama that would be passed down for thousands of years. Hu Zongxian stroked his beard and smiled. Miss Wang, from now on, you will follow Private Advisor Luo, no, Scholar Luo back to Jiaxing. Wait for him to win you a title. Isn't it better than following Su Hai and being afraid? Luo Longwen was a little flustered. He wanted to say something, but when he looked up and saw Wang Zuiqiao's pale face, he suddenly felt as if his throat was blocked and he could not say a word. Wang Zuiqiao smiled sadly. It turns out that all of this is fake. Huh. As everyone expected, the scene of Wang Zuiqiao throwing herself into Luo Longwen's arms did not happen. They were all stunned. For a moment, the boat was silent. Wang Zuiqiao did not even look at Luo Longwen. She only looked at Hu Zongxian. Hu Zongxian, you killed people who surrendered. What do you think of the heavenly law? Hu Zongxian was a little angry when he was called by his name. Before Hu Zongxian could react, Wang Zuiqiao had already turned to the direction of Jinmen Island and said in a shrill voice, Mingshan. I have let you down. Her white dress suddenly jumped into the sea. Luo Longwen panicked and hurriedly shouted, hurry, hurry up and get her out. However, Luo Longwen's words carried little weight. When everyone on the boat saw Hu Zongxian's livid face, they were very sensible and no one jumped into the water to save her. Luo Longwen looked around and gritted his teeth and jumped into the sea. However, he did not know how to swim and flopped around in the sea. Save Private Advisor Luo. What a disgrace! Hu Zongxian snorted. 2 bodyguards jumped into the water and faithfully followed Hu Zongxian's order to save Private Advisor Luo. As for the other figure in the white dress who was swallowed by the sea, they tacitly ignored her. Li Shi could not help but say in the team channel, this Hu Zongxian is too much. Xiaowen, I really want to save Wang Zuiqiao. Bai Xiaowen sighed. She has long been determined to die. Didn't she scold Hu Zongxian to prevent him from saving her? You can't save a person who has made up her mind to die. What right does Hu Zongxian have to stop her from collecting her corpse? He doesn't even allow her to become a nun. This is too cruel. Li Shi was still somewhat angry. Bai Xiaowen shook his head and said in the team channel, Hu Zongxian is considering his own reputation. After all, going back on one's word is not something to be proud of. If he let Wang Zuiqiao become a nun, wouldn't he have another woman to slander him? If Wang Zuiqiao and Private Advisor Luo get together, it means that she has let go of Su Hai. Only then can Hu Zongxian truly be at ease. After all, Private Advisor Luo will follow Hu Zongxian in the future. If Wang Zuiqiao follows Private Advisor Luo, it means that she will be under Hu Zongxian's influence and control. After a pause, Bai Xiaowen said, Shi, I know that you are moved by Wang Zuiqiao's loyalty to Su Hai and that you hate Hu Zongxian and Su Wei. However, to be fair, as a citizen of the Ming dynasty, Su Hai defected to the Woka pirates and led them to attack the Ming dynasty's territory. He killed the common people and plundered countless valuables. It can be said that he is a traitor to the Ming dynasty. This is a crime in the sense of righteousness. Personal loyalty is just a small matter. Hu Zongxian and Su Wei painstakingly fought against the Woka pirates and protected the Ming dynasty's people in the southeast coast. They can be called national heroes. This is righteousness in the sense of righteousness. As for going back on one's word and going back on one's word, it is also a small matter. Bai Xiaowen's attitude was very clear. He was on Hu Zongxian and Su Wei's side. Li Shi also understood this. It was just that women were more emotional and were easily swayed by their emotions. In any case, Wang Zuiqiao's suicide by jumping into the sea was beyond everyone's expectations. It also made Hu Zongxian lose face. He snorted, waved his hand, and turned to leave. Su Wei gave Yu Dayo a few instructions and ignored Hu Zongxian. With his hands behind his back, he leisurely walked to a cabin on the ship and went to sleep. Let's go. In this situation, it's not good to hand in the mission directly. Let's open the treasure chest first. Bai Xiaowen and Li Shi chose an empty cabin and went to open the treasure chest. Only Yu Dayo was painstakingly organizing the pirates who had just surrendered. He used ropes to tie them into long lines and then searched the entire island to capture them. He had to ensure that not a single pirate escaped. Bai Xiaowen and Li Shi received a total of 2 gold treasure chests and 2 silver treasure chests from the chief of this C-rank hero mission. They opened the silver treasure chests first. These 2 treasure chests were only rated C-rank. This was probably because they were from high-level elites. If they were from mid-level elites like Bai Xiaowen and Li Shi, their ratings would probably fall to D rank or E rank. There was only one chance to draw a C-rank treasure chest. Fortunately, it was not a Bai Xiaowen and Li Shi each took a treasure chest. They quickly drew a treasure chest. There were no surprises. The 2 of them each drew a piece of blue equipment. They were bound to each other after picking them up. They were basically auxiliary equipment used to strengthen equipment. It was worth mentioning that the 2 treasure chests each dropped a special item, Pirate's Blood. This item was a guaranteed drop and would not occupy the loot drop list. It's probably because we have impure soul essences. That's why the pirates dropped this special item. Bai Xiaowen took out a ball of impure soul essence from an elite vengeful spirit and tried to fuse it with the special item, Pirate's Blood. When the originally light red essence came into contact with the pirate's blood, the red halo was stripped away bit by bit. It was as if the resentment entrenched in the essence was being washed away. After the light faded, the pirate's blood had disappeared. The name of the impure soul essence had also changed. Enhanced soul essence. This soul essence contains spiritual energy. The resentment entrenched in it has been washed away. Bai Xiaowen took out Absoran's blood essence stone, incomplete, and injected the enhanced soul essence into it. Unexpectedly, the blood essence stone's surface only flashed. After swallowing the enhanced soul essence, it did not change much. However, Bai Xiaowen was confident. Since the blood essence stone was willing to eat it, it meant that he was on the right track. It was normal that there was no change. Absoran's blood essence stone, incomplete, was a high-end item obtained from a lord, while the enhanced soul essence was only a special item obtained from an elite. There was a qualitative difference between the 2. Unless a large number of soul essences were used, it was impossible to upgrade the blood essence stone with just 1 ball of soul essence. Bai Xiaowen took out the impure essence core. This core was a loot he obtained from the white ghost. He used the second pirate's blood on the impure essence core, but there was no reaction. Bai Xiaowen received a notification from the spiritual realm's rules. The resentment entrenched in the impure essence core is too strong. Li Shi saw the shared spiritual realm's rules and said, after the white ghost, there's a commander-tier resentful spirit. The essence core she dropped should also require the blood of a commander-tier pirate to wash away. Bai Xiaowen nodded and said, that's great. We still have 2 Woka Chief's golden chests that we haven't opened yet. After opening the 2 golden chests, Bai Xiaowen did not choose any cards for the time being. He first obtained the special items that were guaranteed to drop. As expected, he obtained 2 sets of Pirate Chief's blood. Bai Xiaowen used the Pirate Chief Chendong's blood and successfully washed away the white ghost's essence core. He then gave it to Absoran's blood essence stone to devour. After devouring, Absoran's blood essence stone, incomplete, finally changed. Its name became Absoran's blood essence stone, damaged. Damaged, from a literal point of view, was better than incomplete. However, Bai Xiaowen still could not use it. Unfortunately, there are only 2 sets of essence cores and essence essences. there's only one item left that has a connection with Absoran's blood essence stone. It's the impure heart, dropped by the king of Black Zombie. However, this heart can only be washed away with the blood of a real Woka pirate. Bai Xiaowen still had a set of pockmarked Ye's blood left. He was a fake Woku, not a real Woku. His blood could not wash away the king of Black Zombie's impure heart. Anyway, after we finish the main mission, we'll have to do the sword search side mission. We'll have to fight the real Woku, Li Shi said. Chapter 363. Qindong and Yimatzi had both been injured before the battle started. Yimatzi was also in a weakened state, so their battle scores were not high. Fortunately, Bai Xiaowen and Li Shi were 2 levels lower than the 2 leaders. Since they had fought against both leaders at the same time, the rules of the spiritual realm had taken into account the difficulty of the battle and increased their scores. In the end, the ratings of the 2 treasure chests were maintained at rank B. Both of them had 2 chances to draw. The first was Qindong's gold card. It's best if it drops a skill book, Bai Xiaowen said. Li Shi nodded. Yes, the wind-chasing sword technique is quite powerful. I think it suits me better. The wind-chasing sword technique was a special sword technique. When the opponent tried to dodge, their attack speed would be reduced, but the user's attack speed would be increased. The 5% increase in attack speed per level was very suitable for Li Shi. It's good that you dropped a weapon. The Woka leader Qindong's sword is definitely a gold-grade weapon. It's a good opportunity to replace the sword in your left hand. Bai Xiaowen said as he tapped on the first gold card. A picture of a pair of leather boots flipped over in the golden light and came into view. Sharkskin boots, binds after pickup, equipment grade, hero, gold, equipment position, feet, equipment requirements, 15 base strength, 15 base agility, attributes, agility +3, movement speed +4%, general, skill, floating on water, user can glide on water for 1 minute. Effect disappears after damage is inflicted. Cooldown time is 24 hours. Durability description, boots made from sharkskin. Even those who are not good at swimming will be able to swim freely in the sea. This gold equipment is quite ordinary. Although there are additional attributes in a skill, I don't think this skill will be very useful. Bai Xiaowen thought carefully about the range of application of the floating on water skill. In the end, he came to the conclusion that its greatest use was to show off. In comparison, Bai Xiaowen would rather not have this skill and make up for it in terms of attributes. Agility +3 would become agility +5, or agility +3, or vitality +2. Bai Xiaowen handed the sharkskin boots to Li Shi, but Li Shi did not take them. I already have shoes. Xiaowen, you don't have any. You should wear this equipment, Li Shi declined. Bai Xiaowen did not have any equipment for his feet, but that did not mean that he was always barefoot. Needless to say, when he was on Earth, the rules of the spirit realm would give him a set of default images. Ultimately, they would not allow Bai Xiaowen to walk around barefoot. Up until now, Bai Xiaowen had already tried straw sandals, 3 Kingdoms planar world, noble boots, cane planar world, sports shoes, the King of Fighters planar world, and many other shoes that were recognized by the laws of the spirit world. This equipment adds to agility. Okay. According to the principle of optimization, if Li Shi wore the pair of sharkskin boots, the original black leather shoes on her feet would go to waste. Bai Xiaowen would still have no shoes to wear. It should be noted that although the 2 of them had established a permanent party and could exchange bound picked-up equipment, this was only after the party was established. Bound equipment that had been obtained before the party was established could not be exchanged. Moreover, the exchange of bound equipment could only be carried out before the equipment was worn. Once one of them had worn it, there was no way to exchange it again. This rule applied to the sealing of golden beeswax as well. Similarly, equipment that had been worn could not be sealed with golden beeswax. The increase in agility was also a good thing for Bai Xiaowen. Many of his combo skills in the strawworm style of ancient martial arts required agility. After wearing the sharkskin boots, Bai Xiaowen's agility reached 22 points, the same as his strength. Li Shi chose the second card. Skill book, skill book. Wow, it's really a skill book. This is awesome. Li Shi beamed with joy. Bai Xiaowen had nothing to say about Li Shi's luck of getting whatever she wanted. Unfortunately, it's not the wind-chasing sword technique, Li Shi said. The skill book that had been dropped was a shadowless slash. Shadowless slash skill book teaches you the shadowless slash skill. Shadowless slash, turn into a phantom and sweep across the battlefield, slashing all enemies within your melee range, causing moderate physical damage. Shadowless slash can be a critical hit. You can move during the attack, ignoring the collision volume of units. You cannot be targeted. After Bai Xiaowen carefully read the description of shadowless slash, his eyes lit up. This skill is good. It's as valuable as the wind-chasing sword technique. Shadowless slash was both offensive and defensive. When surrounded by multiple enemies, it could cause multiple waves of physical damage at once, stacking multiple layers of passive effects. But what really caught Bai Xiaowen's attention was the description of ignoring the collision volume of units. You cannot be targeted. It would be very useful to use to dodge the boss's key skills. Li Shi quickly understood what was going on. She was very happy. But which skill should I erase? Li Shi was a little hesitant. Of course it's the Sanction Dagger, Bai Xiaowen said. Although the Sanction Dagger has 4 waves of damage, it needs to be charged before it can be used. This is the opposite of your fighting style. As for the other 2 skills, Combo Slash was needless to say. It had the level 4 special effect of Triple Slash, which added 3 waves of damage. It could be used instantly without charging. As a small skill with a short cooldown, it was more useful than the Sanction Dagger. Brutal Charge was Li Shi's only offensive skill. It also had a small knockback effect, so it couldn't be discarded. Forgetting skills cost psionic points. The higher the level and star level of the skill, the less psionic points it would cost. It could even be free. Forgetting skills cost more psionic points. Li Shi's Sanction Dagger had already reached level 4. It only cost him 1,000 psionic points to forget it. She then chose to learn Shadowless Slash. I need to practice this skill again. Its level is still relatively low, and its cooldown is about the same as the Sanction Dagger. It has a cooldown of 2 minutes, Li Shi said. Bai Xiaowen nodded. If a skill's level was increased, its cooldown could be reduced. She then selected the Japanese pirate leader Yi Matsu's golden card. Perhaps it was because she used up all her luck in Chendong's treasure chest, but Yi Matsu's treasure chest didn't drop any equipment or skill books. It only dropped 2 special items. Frowny face. Matsuura Shinkuro's reply. This is a secret reply from one of the leaders of the Matsuura family, Matsuura Shinkuro, to the Japanese pirate leader Yi Matsu. You can read it and obtain the corresponding information. You're tuning into the Mythic Realms YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.